Chapter 764. Why do you have so many questions? I hate you, and I don't welcome you now. Leave, I don't want to see you. Ruan Tingting's face was cold as she ordered them to leave. Tingting, what's the matter? You were fine before, what happened to you? Kongjin asked. I told you to leave, didn't you hear me? You're not welcome here. Leave, are you trying to bully me with your high cultivation? I'm not afraid. Ruan Tingting shouted stubbornly. Tingting, what's the matter? Tell us, I'll help you solve it. Kongjin shouted. Ruan Tingting gritted her teeth and almost wanted to say it, but she remembered that there was a third-level Spirit Sea Realm Old Ancestor and a few second-level Spirit Sea Realm experts in the Windsword sect. If she told Kongjin and the rest, they would be implicated. She gritted her teeth and didn't say anything, only wanting to chase Kongjin and the rest away. Fatty, let's go first. Lu Ming walked over, pulled Kongjin and walked out. But, Tingting. Kongjin wanted to say more. Go, let's leave first. Lu Ming pulled Fatty and walked out. Xian Yanqing followed beside Lu Ming. Watching Lu Ming and the rest leave, Ruan Tingting couldn't hold back her tears any longer and streamed down. Lu Ming pulled Kongjin out of the Windsword Sect's mountain gate. Lu Ming, why did you pull me out? Tingting definitely has something to do with her. Kongjin said, do you think I can't tell? Lu Ming said, if you can tell, why did you still bring me out? There must be an inside story. She doesn't want to say it, perhaps she's afraid of implicating us. We can only come out first and think of a solution. Lu Ming frowned. What solution do you have? Kongjin asked. Now, we have to know what happened first and then solve it. Let's go to Jianghu City first. Didn't we leave Miss Qiao Xian's voice transmission jade talisman? She's so close to Tingting, maybe she knows something. Let's ask her first. Lu Ming said. Maybe it's because of the Windsword sect, or maybe it's because of her family. I saw her crying. Xian Yanqing said. Go to Jianghu City first, I'll send a voice transmission to Miss Qiao Xian. Lu Ming took out a voice transmission jade talisman. At this moment, his gaze flickered. Miss Qiao Xian sent me a message first, asking us to gather at Gathering Luxury City. Lu Ming said. Have. Tea. 2. It. Qiao Xian told them everything she knew. Despicable, and shameless Windsword sect. What sect master? What elders? They're shameless to the extreme. Kongjin was enraged after hearing that. He was like a mad beast. This sect shouldn't exist in this world. Xian Yanqing's voice was also incomparably cold. Miss Qiao Xian, you're guessing that Tingting will take the risk to save her parents? Lu Ming asked. Given Tingting's character, it's very likely. Qiao Xian said. Oh no, if you can guess it, how can the Windsword sect not guess it? If Tingting goes, she'll be in danger. Let's hurry back to the Windsword sect. Lu Ming's face changed. When Qiao Xian found Lu Ming and the rest, Ruan Tingting had already started to move in the Windsword sect. She changed into a black robe and turned into a black phantom in the night, flying towards the depths of the Windsword sect. After passing through many pavilions and palaces, Ruan Tingting appeared in a courtyard. Who's there? When Ruan Tingting appeared, a voice came from one of the rooms. Immediately after, two silhouettes appeared in the courtyard of the courtyard. It was a middle-aged couple. Tingting, it's you. Why are you here in the middle of the night? The middle-aged man was stunned when he saw Tingting. Father, mother, follow me. Let's leave this place and leave the Windsword sect. Ruan Tingting's eyes were red. Tingting, what happened? The middle-aged couple was even more confused. Father, mother, they want me to marry the Jianghu mountain monsters and even use you to threaten me. Ruan Tingting then briefly explained what had happened. What? How did this happen? Our Ruan family has done everything we can for the Windsword sect. How could they do this to you? No, I must ask the sect master. The middle-aged man said angrily. Father, it's useless. Their attitude is very firm. To them, it's only right to use my happiness to fulfill their children. Let's go. Ruan Tingting said. This was also the reason why she came personally and didn't send a message to her parents. She was afraid that her father would look for Yi Fa directly after receiving the news. By then, they wouldn't be able to leave even if they wanted to. Yeah, listen to Tingting. There's no need to stay in such a sect anymore. Ruan Tingting's mother said. All right, let's go. Ruan Tingting's father clenched his teeth. The three of them carefully left the courtyard and headed out of the sect. After bypassing the many courtyards and exiting the core area of the Wind Sword sect, the terrain became more spacious. However, the three of them stopped. In front, Yi Qing and Su Luo stood in front with a cold smile. Behind them was a group of people. Ruan Tingting, how dare you bring your parents to betray the Wind Sword sect and disregard the prosperity of the Wind Sword sect? This is a heinous crime. Yi Qing had a smug smile on her face as she sneered. Yi Qing, admit that you're despicable and shameless. Don't use those high-sounding reasons to suppress me. You're just doing it for yourself. Even if I die, I won't let you have your way. Ruan Tingting's face was very pale. She knew that she wouldn't be able to leave today. Impudent, you bitch. Who do you think you are? How dare you speak to me like that? Men, take those two old men down and cripple their cultivation. I'll see if that bitch still obeys. Yi Qing screamed. Immediately, a few figures walked out from behind her. Charge out. Ruan Tingting's father yelled. His aura burst out as he charged out. Ruan Tingting's father was also a peak-tier king. At the same time, Ruan Tingting and her mother also charged out. Today, they would only have a chance if they killed their way out. Ruan Tingting's mother was a 9th-level martial king. Together with Ruan Tingting, the three of them instantly forced the two men back. You still dare to fight back? Attack together. Su Luo waved his hand. Immediately, the people behind them attacked. There were more than 10 of them. Among them, 3 were peak-tier kings while the rest were late-stage kings. Chapter 765. Right at this moment, a small dagger appeared in Ruan Tingting's hand. The dagger danced in the air, shooting out cold rays of light. Puchi! A man's arm was sliced off as he screamed and retreated. 6th grade spirit weapon. How do you have a 6th grade spirit weapon? Damn it! Take them down. This 6th grade spirit weapon is mine. Yi Qing screamed as greed appeared in her eyes. Ruan Tingting's spirit weapon was naturally obtained from the storage rings of the Sea of Soul Realm martial artists. Ruan Tingting controlled the 6th grade spirit weapon, and her battle power was already suppressing the other peak kings. She was about to charge out. But right at this moment, sounds of air being torn apart could be heard from behind. At least a few dozen figures were flying over. 2 of them had auras as deep as the ocean. They were Sea of Soul Realm experts. The leader of the Wind Sword sect, Yi Fa, and Su Luo's father, Su Dingshan. Ruan Tingting's family revealed looks of despair. Not only did your family betray the sect, but you also injured your fellow sect members. Take them all down. Yi Fa ordered. More than a dozen figures flew out from behind Yi Fa. More than half of them were peak kings. Tingting, run. I'll stall them. Ruan Tingting's father roared as he charged toward the dozen figures. Father! Ruan Tingting yelled. Run. Tingting, you can't marry the Clear River monsters. Ruan Tingting's father roared as his aura turned berserk. Not good, he's going to self-destruct. Someone exclaimed. You're courting death. At this moment, Su Tingshan stepped out and pressed down with his palm. A mountain-like palm print smashed onto Ruan Tingting's father's body. Puchi! Ruan Tingting's father coughed out large mouthfuls of blood as cracking sounds came from his body. Father, don't. Ruan Tingting yelled. Run. Ruan Tingting's father ignored his injuries and charged over. Ruan Zhen, since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. Su Tingshan stepped out and pointed out with his finger. A terrifying finger energy shot toward Ruan Tingting's father like a sharp sword. Puchi! The finger energy pierced through Ruan Zhen's chest and pierced through his heart. Quick, let's go! Ruan Zhen spat out his last sentence. His life force was extinguished and he fell to the ground. No! Ruan Tingting's eyes were red as she screamed crazily. Brother Zhen! Ruan Tingting's mother also shouted and rushed towards Ruan Jin's body. Without your parents, you still have to go to Qinghe Mountain. I'll kill your parents now and seal your cultivation. 2 days later, I'll send you to Qinghe Mountain. Su Tingshan strode forward and pointed his finger again. Ruan Tingting's mother had just caught Ruan Jin's body when she was pierced by the finger force and fell to the ground. She turned her head to look at Ruan Tingting one last time before her life force dissipated. Father, mother, I want all of you dead. Ruan Tingting shouted crazily. Her eyes were filled with killing intent. She rushed towards Su Tingshan crazily. The aura on her body was extremely violent. You want to self-destruct in front of me? How is that possible? Su Tingshan snorted and threw out a palm strike. Ruan Tingting's body shook violently as she coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. Her body was sent flying far away. Her cultivation had already been sealed by Su Tingshan's true essence. A burly man flew forward and caught Ruan Tingting. EFA had been watching coldly from the beginning to the end. Kill me. You'd better kill me. Otherwise, I swear that I'll definitely kill all of you. I'll definitely destroy the Windsword sect and avenge my parents. Ruan Tingting's eyes were filled with hatred. Just you? Hee. If you can last 3 months under the hands of the Qinghe twin monsters, consider it my loss. Yi Qing sneered coldly. Ruan Tingting, you only have yourself to blame for all of this. If you had agreed obediently, why would all of this happen? All of this was caused by you. Su Luo sneered. All right, take her away and lock her up. Yi Fa waved his hand. Whoever dares to touch Tingting, I'll kill him. Right at this moment, an earth-shattering roar sounded. A terrifying killing intent spread from outside the Windsword sect as if a peerless beast had awakened. 4 figures instantly appeared in the area. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Kong Jin, and Xiao Xian had finally arrived. Let go of your filthy hands. Kong Jin exuded a terrifying aura. The large axe in his hand was covered in blood. A Windsword sect disciple had tried to stop him and was directly chopped down by his axe. At this moment, the aura of savagery on his body was extremely dense. His figure moved and appeared in front of the burly man who had grabbed Ruan Tingting. That burly man was shocked and was about to retreat, but Kong Jin's large hand reached out and grabbed his neck. With a crack, that burly man whose cultivation had reached the peak-tier king realm had his neck broken. Kong Jin took the opportunity to pull Ruan Tingting into his embrace. Tingting, are you all right? Kong Jin looked worriedly at Ruan Tingting. Father, mother. Ruan Tingting's tears kept falling as she stared blankly at the corpses of her parents. Boom, boom. Lu Ming's aura was like a mountain. He took a large step forward and the world rumbled. He didn't hide his cold killing intent at all. A bunch of trash. Today you will all die. Lu Ming's voice was cold and emotionless. It's you little bastards. You actually dared to barge into the Windsword sect. Speak. Did you collude with that bitch Ruan Tingting and plot against my Windsword sect? Su Luo pointed at Lu Ming and yelled. Kill. Lu Ming hollered and stretched out his palm to clench the air. Su Luo instantly felt himself being bound by a force as his body flew toward Lu Ming. Father, save me. Su Luo was scared and screamed in terror. Kid, let go of my son. Su Tingshan stepped forward, wanting to save him. Boom. Lu Ming punched out with his other hand, and a fist radiance flew out and sent Su Tingshan flying back. In the next moment, Su Luo landed in Lu Ming's hands and was held by Lu Ming by the throat. Speak. Who killed the 2 of them? Lu Ming pointed at the corpses of Ruan Tingting's parents and asked Su Luo. Kid, how dare you capture me? Let me down. You're courting death. Do you know that? Su Luo yelled. A force flew out and chopped off one of Su Luo's arms. Su Luo instantly let out a hysterical scream. Speak. The cold killing intent on Lu Ming's body became even more intense. I'll speak. My father killed them. It's my father. It has nothing to do with me. Su Luo screamed and betrayed Su Tingshan. Su Tingshan's face was ugly as he roared, Kid, let go of my son. Otherwise, I guarantee that you won't be able to walk out of the Wind Sword sect. At this moment, another 2 powerful auras descended. They were 2 extremely powerful elders of the Wind Sword sect. Is that so? I'd like to see how you're going to prevent me from walking out of the Wind Sword sect. Lu Ming sneered as a force burst forth from his palm. Bam! Su Luo exploded in Lu Ming's hand and turned into a bloody mist. Luo damn it! I want you to pay with your life. Chapter 766. Kill. Lu Ming couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense. He strode forward and charged towards Su Tingshan. Sect leader, elders, let's attack together and kill this kid. Su Tingshan's expression changed as he shouted. He received Lu Ming's punch just now and was rather fearful of Lu Ming. Attack! The other 2 elders attacked. At the same time, Su Tingshan attacked as well. The 3 of them joined forces and charged towards Lu Ming. The 2 elders were at the peak of the first level of the spiritual sea realm, while Su Tingshan was at the late stage of the first level. Yi Fei didn't attack and stood by the side. When the 3 of them joined forces, their aura was grand and boundless. The momentum was extremely terrifying. However, Lu Ming didn't even blink. His expression was still cold as he stared at Su Tingshan. Just as the 3's attacks were about to land on Lu Ming instantly threw out 3 punches. 3 screams. Su Tingshan and the other 2 spat out blood and flew far away. How could this be? The people of the Wind Sword sect were dumbfounded as they watched this scene in shock. This young man was actually so terrifying. With one move, he heavily injured 3 spiritual sea realm elders. This was too unbelievable. Today, no one can save you. Lu Ming walked towards Su Tingshan step by step. Su Tingshan's heart trembled and his face turned pale. He retreated frantically and shouted, sect leader, save me. Yi Fei's expression was ugly. Lu Ming injured 3 elders with one move. Even he couldn't do it. His cultivation was only at the early stage of the 2nd level of the spiritual sea realm. Retreat, retreat. Quickly ask the Grand Elder to come out. Yi Fei roared and retreated with his people, not caring about Su Tingshan at all. Sect leader! Su Tingshan shouted in despair. What are you shouting for? Lu Ming took a step forward and appeared in front of Su Tingshan, striking a palm towards Su Tingshan. Su Tingshan tried his best to resist, but it was useless. He was struck down by Lu Ming's palm and smashed into the mountain below the Wind Sword sect, creating a huge crater that was dozens of meters wide. Lu Ming's hand glowed as a long spear condensed from Zhenyuan appeared in his hand. With a wave of his hand, the long spear shot out like lightning towards Su Tingshan and pierced through his dantian. Boom! A rumbling sound echoed out from Su Tingshan's dantian region as his spiritual sea was pierced by Lu Ming and exploded. His spiritual sea was broken, and his cultivation was crippled. Su Tingshan let out a hysterical scream. The other people of the Wind Sword sect had pale faces. A sea of Soul Realm Elder was as weak as a baby in Lu Ming's hands. Yi Fei's eyes flashed with humiliation, but he didn't dare to make a move. In his eyes, Lu Ming was simply unfathomable, giving him immense pressure. He had a feeling that if he made a move, he would end up like Su Tingshan. Therefore he retreated. He had to wait for help. Yi Qing's face was also incomparably pale, but there was jealousy in her eyes. She was jealous of Wan Tingting. Why did such a powerful young expert stand up for her while she didn't? You can't escape. Xian Yanqing's figure suddenly appeared not far from Yi Fei and pressed down with one hand. Boom! The Sky Demon Force field enveloped Yi Fei and the others with an incomparably huge pressure. Some people directly screamed. Under the huge pressure, their bones broke and they coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. Even Yi Fei's face changed drastically. He had to use all the Zhenyuan in his body to resist. Charge! An elder who was injured by Lu Ming just now roared, wanting to break through the Sky Demon Force field and rush out. But in the next moment, the other people of the Wind Sword sect widened their eyes in horror because they saw that the lower half of the elder's body rushed out, but the lower half was still in place. He was cut in half at the waist. When that elder saw this scene, he let out a miserable scream of fear. However, he did not die immediately. "You'd better not move," Xian Yanqing said coldly. Yi Fei's face was pale. Who are these people? They were too horrifying. He felt that any one of them could easily kill him. Could it be that the friends that Ruan Tingting asked to help the Windsword sect compete are these people? Yi Fei thought to himself. He had a feeling that perhaps he was wrong this time. But now that things had come to this, he could only bite the bullet and continue. Now, he could only hope that the Windsword sect's ancestor could rush over as soon as possible. The Windsword sect's ancestor was at the peak of the 3rd level of the spiritual sea realm and could definitely kill these brats. Lu Ming reached out and grabbed the half-dead Su Tingshan, throwing him in front of Ruan Tingting. This person needed Ruan Tingting to kill. He stepped out and appeared in front of Yi Fei and the others. "Today, all of you have to die. There's no need for the Windsword sect to remain in this world." The infinite dragon spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand, and the spear light soared into the sky. Today, he was going to flatten the Windsword sect. Lu Ming! At this moment, a voice came from behind. It was Ruan Tingting's voice. At this moment, Ruan Tingting's sealed cultivation had already been released by Kong Jin. Her gaze was bone-chilling, revealing a bone-piercing murderous intent. She said, "Lu Ming, don't kill them. I want to take revenge with my own hands. One day, I will flatten the Windsword sect with my own hands and take revenge for my parents." Lu Ming was slightly taken aback, then nodded. "All right." Lu Ming understood that Ruan Tingting had to take revenge with her own hands. This way, there wouldn't be an inner demon in her heart that would hinder her future cultivation. "As for Su Tingshan, you have to die today." Ruan Tingting looked at Su Tingshan. "No, save me," Su Tingshan yelled. He was all too clear about Ruan Tingting, Ruan Zhen, and the others' backgrounds. They didn't have any powerful friends, so he killed without restraint. Never in his dreams would he have thought that he would provoke such terrifying fiends. Now, he was extremely regretful. Puchi. Ruan Tingting's sword light pierced through Su Tingshan's heart, and the sword aura crushed his heart into pieces. Su Tingshan widened his eyes and let out a cry of indignation before he stopped breathing. "Yi Fei, just you wait. I will destroy the Windsword sect with my own hands and make you pay the price for what you have done." Ruan Tingting's gaze was incomparably cold, revealing a bone-piercing hatred and murderous intent. Seeing such a gaze, Yi Fei's heart couldn't help but tremble even though he had lived for many years. "Wait a minute, I don't feel comfortable looking at this woman." Lu Ming looked at Yi Qing. He reached out and grabbed Yi Qing in his hand. "No, don't kill me, don't kill me. Father, save me." Yi Qing screamed crazily, and her face was pale without a trace of blood. "Let Qing go, or the Windsword sect won't rest until you are dead." Yi Fei roared, and his true yuan erupted wildly. "Don't worry, I won't kill her. I will leave her life for Tingting." Lu Ming sneered and pointed a finger, directly crippling Yi Qing's cultivation. "Didn't you want to get a slot to enter the 100 Supremes Mountain? Can you still enter after your cultivation is crippled? Get lost." Lu Ming flung Yi Qing out. Yi Qing screamed with a face full of despair. Her original goal was to sacrifice Ruan Tingting to fulfill her wish and let her enter the 100 Supremes Mountain. Perhaps she could obtain a great opportunity in the 100 Supremes Mountain and soar to the sky. She was full of hope. But now there was no hope. She was in despair. Even if there was a slot, it was useless to her. "Let's go." Chapter 767. South of Jianghu City, on a mountain peak 10,000 li away, there were 2 more tombs. Ruan Tingting quietly knelt in front of the Ruan Zhen couple's tombs for a day and a night. She didn't cry nor shed tears. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Kong Jin and Xiao Xian also stood beside her. After a day and a night, Ruan Tingting stood up and cupped her fists towards Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing and the others, saying, "This time, thank you very much. Tingting, we're friends, there's no need to be so polite. Unfortunately, we were a step too late." Lu Ming sighed. If they were a step earlier, Ruan Tingting's parents might not have died. Tingting, where do you plan to go next? Xiao Xian held Ruan Tingting's hand and asked with concern. I don't know, I want to find a place to cultivate. I must flatten the Wind Sword sect. Ruan Tingting gritted her teeth and said, How about this? The 100 Supremes Mountain is an opportunity. We can help a force obtain a quota and enter the 100 Supremes Mountain to cultivate. This way, your cultivation speed will definitely increase. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and said to Ruan Tingting, That's a good idea. Kong Jin said, How about this? You all follow me to the Hai Yun sect. I will report this to my father. Anyway, my father is looking for outside help. My Hai Yun sect has no chance to obtain a quota. If you join us and obtain a quota, all of them will belong to you. What do you think? Xiao Xian said, That's a good idea, but we don't need all of the quotas, 4 is enough. Kong Jin quickly nodded and said. Then, everyone left the place and flew towards the Hai Yun sect, discussing the details on the way. After arriving at the Hai Yun sect, Xiao Xian arranged for Lu Ming and the others to stay, then she went to report to her father. An hour later, Xiao Xian returned and said that her father wanted to meet Lu Ming and the others. Many people in the Sea Cloud sect knew Ruan Tingting, so naturally, she didn't need to go. Xian Yanqing was not interested in this, so only Lu Ming and Kong Jin followed Xiao Xian to the Sea Cloud sect's conference hall. Xiao Xian's father, Xiao Long, was sitting in the Sea Cloud sect's main hall. There were also 5 or 6 Sea Cloud sect's elders present. Sect leader, do you really believe that Xian Er knows some experts? Do you think we don't know Xian Er's friends? They're all young people around his age. A middle-aged man said to Xiao Long, Yeah, although my Sea Cloud sect's strength is low, we can't just randomly invite people to make up the numbers. Another elder also spoke. This time, Xian Er was very serious. She said she knew these powerful warriors who could easily kill an expert at the peak of the first layer of the spiritual ocean tier. They were unfathomable, so I called you guys to meet them together. Xiao Long said, The Sea Cloud sect could only be considered in the lower tier among the dozens of forces around the gathering luxury city. The strongest in the sect was only at the peak of the second layer of the spiritual ocean tier. It was almost impossible for them to get a spot for the 100 Supremes Mountain. However, they were unwilling. After all, this spot was very precious to a small force like them, so they wanted to fight for it. During this time, he had been asking for outside help, almost running around the gathering luxury city. Even some powerful loose cultivators near other cities wanted to ask them for help, but they were all rejected. If those experts had to choose, they would naturally choose those powerful forces. During this time, he spent a lot of money and paid a great price, but only managed to invite an expert at the early stage of the third layer of the spiritual ocean tier to help. When he heard Xiao Xian say she knew a few experts who could easily kill an expert at the peak of the first layer of the spiritual ocean tier, he was naturally moved and wanted to meet them. To be able to easily kill an expert at the peak of the first layer of the spiritual ocean tier, their battle prowess would definitely not be weaker than the late stage of the second layer of the spiritual ocean tier, or even the peak of the second layer. If he could help the Sea Cloud sect fight, it would be a great battle force. They're here, an elder said. Then, Xiao Xian walked in with Lu Ming and Kong Jin. The people in the main hall were immediately dumbfounded. They didn't expect that the people Xiao Xian brought were actually 2 young people, and they looked to be in their early 20s. Xian, the experts you mentioned are them? A middle-aged man spoke first. Elder Hua, yes, they are Xian Er's friends. Xiao Xian said, Stop fooling around. Xian, this battle is no small matter. All the major factions will be mobilizing all of their forces and sending out their strongest fighters. It's extremely dangerous. Your friends are too young. If anything happens to them, how are you going to explain it to their elders? Xiao Long reprimanded. Father, Lu Ming, Kong Jin and the others are very strong. They can easily kill a martial artist at the peak of the first layer of the spiritual ocean tier. Xiao Xian said. Lu Ming. Xiao Long's eyes moved. He seemed to feel that the name Lu Ming was familiar, but he couldn't recall it at the moment. Can easily kill a martial artist at the peak of the first layer of the spiritual ocean tier? Xian, You're getting more and more ridiculous. Do you know how strong a martial artist at the peak of the first layer of the spiritual ocean tier is? How can he be killed so easily? That elder Hua shook his head and smiled. The wind sword sect's matter was already sealed. They naturally wouldn't spread such a shameful thing. Therefore, Xiao Long and the others didn't know what happened in the wind sword sect. The other elders also shook their heads and smiled, thinking that Xiao Xian was still young and didn't know many things. It was normal for her to hear rumors. They didn't think that Lu Ming and the others could easily kill a martial artist at the peak of the first layer of the spiritual ocean tier. So young and with such battle strength, he was most likely a genius. How could Xiao Xian know him? Xian, take your friends down. It's fine if you want to play in the ocean cloud sect. Take them around. Xiao Long smiled. Sect leader Xiao, you haven't tried, so how do you know Xiao Xian is lying? If you miss it, wouldn't you miss a good opportunity? At this moment, Lu Ming smiled and cupped his fists. That's right, sect leader Xiao. I'm not bragging, but don't mention a peak of the first layer of the spiritual ocean tier. Even a peak of the second layer of the spiritual ocean tier would be split in half with my axe. Kong Jin grinned. Young man, you sure talk big. Then let me test you. That elder Hua stood up, emitting a powerful aura. Early stage of the second layer of the spiritual ocean tier. This elder Hua was also one of the few experts in the ocean cloud sect. Elder Hua took a few steps forward and threw a punch at Kong Jin. This punch carried the air with it, and it was like a mountain crashing into the air. Kong Jin's mouth curved slightly and threw out a punch casually. The two fists collided. Elder Hua's expression changed, and his body retreated a dozen steps. Xiao Long and the other elders were shocked and stood up from their seats. Kong Jin actually repelled Elder Hua with a casual punch. Hey, uncle, use your full strength. This is boring. Kong Jin said casually. Okay, take my punch. Elder Hua's expression was solemn. Taking a deep breath, his body emitted a blue light. Concept and true essence combined, and he threw a punch at Kong Jin. This punch was several times stronger than before. Chapter 768. Xiao Long and the rest widened their eyes in shock. Just now, Elder Hua had already exerted his full strength, but he was still easily repelled by Kong Jin's punch, and Kong Jin still looked very casual. How strong was Kong Jin? First level of spiritual sea realm. First level of spiritual sea realm cultivation is actually so strong, could he be a peerless genius? Xiao Long muttered to himself in his heart. To be able to fight across levels in spiritual sea realm, he was definitely a peerless genius. In Nine Dragon City, there were quite a number of people who broke through spiritual sea realm under the age of 30, but most of them were ordinary martial artists, at most a little outstanding but not considered geniuses. And Xiao Long concluded that Kong Jin was definitely a genius. His heart was burning with passion. If Kong Jin was a genius, then what about Lu Ming? Lu Ming? Lu Ming? All of a sudden, Su Long's eyes widened. His heart started pounding. He remembered. Some time ago, he heard from his friends that this year's Heaven King list battle had already ended, and the new Heaven King list had already come out. This year's number 1 strongest king was called Lu Ming. But now in Nine Dragon City, various cultivation holy lands had opened, and countless large and small forces were staring at those holy lands, staring at those top spiritual sea realm geniuses, and did not pay much attention to the Heaven King list. Now, he finally remembered. It was normal for the strongest person on the Heaven King list to break through to spiritual sea realm now. Could it really be that Lu Ming? Su Long's heart beat faster. If it was really the strongest king, then after breaking through to spiritual sea realm, how strong would his battle power be? It was completely unpredictable. Good, what a powerful young man, I'm convinced. Elder Hua was repelled by Kong Jin's punch, but he was not angry. He adjusted his breath and laughed. Senior, thank you for letting me win. Kong Jin grinned. Senior, should I give it a try? Lu Ming looked at Elder Hua. Elder Hua's face stiffened, and he was a little uncertain. Lu Ming smiled, and suddenly took a step forward, his palms striking down. Phew. Lu Ming's palm was clearly cleaving through the air, but the void was like water ripples, rippling out in circles. As Lu Ming's palm streaked across, the ripples spread into the distance. Qiao Long, Elder Hua, and the others felt their hearts skip a beat as their eyes widened. A casual strike of his palm could actually stir up the void. Such strength was truly terrifying. That's enough, that's enough. The strength of these two little brothers has really broadened our horizons. I admire you, I admire you. Qiao Long laughed out loud. Sect Master Qiao, are we qualified to fight on behalf of the Sea Cloud sect? Kongjin asked. Of course, of course. To be able to invite the two of you is my Sea Cloud sect's honor. Qiao Long smiled. It's not just the two of us. We have another friend who will be participating as well. Lu Ming said. There's another person? Qiao Long's heart stirred and he said, I wonder if the few of you are helping my Sea Cloud sect to battle, what are the conditions? The conditions are simple. We want 4 spots to enter the 100 Supremes Mountain. Lu Ming said. For spots? Qiao Long exclaimed, you two might not know this, but there are a total of 36 factions participating in the competition this time. Only the top 6 will have a spot. The 6th will have 3 spots, while the 5th and 6th will have 4 spots. Sect Master Qiao doesn't need to worry too much. As long as you get into the top 3, there will be more than 4 spots. We want 4 spots, and the remaining spots will belong to you. Lu Ming said with confidence in his tone. He had a rough idea of the forces in the vicinity of Jianghu City. He had 100% confidence in getting into the top 3. Qiao Long and the others exchanged a glance. Lu Ming was too confident. All right, I agree to this condition. After pondering for a moment, Qiao Long agreed. Without Lu Ming's help, they wouldn't be able to get into the top 6. At that time, they wouldn't have a single spot. The competition this time is a group battle. It's a competition of the overall strength of a force. Every force will send out 9 experts to battle at the same time to defeat their opponents. Therefore, the battle formation is very important. This time, with the 3 of you, I'll send out 6 more experts. I wonder when you'll have time to practice the battle formation together? Qiao Long said. Sect Master Qiao, I have a battle formation here. As long as it's executed, it will form a strong defensive force. Perhaps it's suitable for this competition. You can let the others practice it first. Lu Ming took out a jade badge and waved it with his hand. He inserted the battle formation into it and threw it to Qiao Long. Qiao Long received it and his expression changed after taking a look. He had some attainments in the Tao of inscription. With a glance, he could tell that the formation was extremely mysterious. It was a 6th-level formation, which was much more exquisite than the one he had obtained. Thank you, young Hero Lu. If young Hero Lu has any other requests, feel free to ask. Qiao Long was in a good mood as he smiled. No need, Sect Master Qiao. We'll take our leave now. Lu Ming cupped his fists and left with Kong Jin, returning to his residence. Sect Master, in my opinion, these two are definitely talents. Although they are unparalleled on the list of top 1,000 talents, there have been many rising talents recently. Elder Hua said. Yes, there's no mistake. You haven't heard, right? The name of this year's strongest king on the Heavenly King list is Lu Ming. Qiao Long said. What? The others were even more shocked. Of course, they were also ecstatic. If this was true, their Sea Cloud sect had picked up a treasure this time. Regardless of whether they could get a ranking this time, it would be beneficial for a small sect like the Sea Cloud sect to make friends with such a peerless talent. After Lu Ming and Kong Jin returned to their residence, they began to cultivate separately. After this incident, Ruan Tingting became even more diligent in her cultivation. She stayed in her room every day to cultivate. Lu Ming and the others didn't participate in the practice of battle formations because it wasn't necessary. Qiao Long and the others thought that Lu Ming and the others were familiar with battle formations and didn't say anything. In the blink of an eye, 7 days had passed. There was only 1 day left until the duel. At this time, Qiao Xian came to invite Lu Ming and the others, telling them to meet the other 6 participants and familiarize themselves with them. Sea Cloud sect on a huge square. When Lu Ming and the others arrived, they saw 6 figures standing in different positions in the square. Their figures flickered, and their auras intersected and merged. They were practicing the battle formation that Lu Ming had given to Qiao Long. 1 at the early stage of the 3rd layer of the spiritual sea realm, 2 at the peak of the 2nd layer of the spiritual sea realm, 2 at the middle stage and early stage of the 2nd layer of the spiritual sea realm, and 1 at the peak of the 1st layer of the spiritual sea realm. Elder Hua was one of them. Qiao Long stood at the side and watched. 3 young heroes, you're here. Qiao Long looked at Lu Ming and the others and smiled. Lu Ming and the others nodded. Whoosh, after a while, the battle formation practice ended, and a gray-haired old man strode over. This is the foreign aide that my father invited. His name is Yu Bo, and his cultivation is in the early 3rd level of the spiritual sea realm. Chapter 769. Sect Master Qiao, these 3 immature brats can't be the foreign aide you mentioned, right? Yu Bo glanced at Lu Ming and the others in disdain. Senior Yu, it's the 3 of them. Qiao Long frowned at Yu Bo's attitude, but he still answered. Sect Leader Qiao, I don't know what you're thinking. How could you invite 3 brats? Even if you don't want to fight for a spot, don't joke about the lives of the rest of us. It's very dangerous to go up the fighting ring. What do you mean by inviting 3 good-for-nothings to drag us down? Yu Bo said in an unfriendly tone. Hey, old man, who are you calling good-for-nothings? You're the good-for-nothing. Kong Jin was furious when he heard Yu Bo call them good-for-nothings. Junior, how dare you talk back to me? Let me ask you, why haven't you come to practice the battle formation? If you're not good-for-nothings and not dragging us down, what are you? Yu Bo scolded loudly, taking advantage of his seniority. Hee, we don't practice the battle formation because we don't need to. Do you know the main purpose of this battle formation? Lu Ming chuckled and said indifferently. The purpose of the battle formation is, of course, to strengthen our combat strength and fight against the opponent, Yu Bo said. Wrong. Lu Ming shook his head and said, the purpose of this battle formation is to strengthen your defense. To put it bluntly, it is to strengthen your defense and protect yourself. You can leave the matter of fighting the enemy to us. When he said that, not only were the others stunned, but Yu Bo and Qiao Long were also stunned. Qiao Long finally understood that Lu Ming's purpose was to strengthen their defense. He didn't expect them to help him defeat the enemy. Even though he guessed Lu Ming's identity, he still felt that Lu Ming was too confident. Haha. Yu Bo laughed even more crazily and said, ignorant, shameless, boasting, arrogant. I want to see what kind of ability you have with just the few of you little fellows. Fatty, I'm not interested in such trash. I'll leave it to you. 5 moves, no problem. Lu Ming said to Kong Jin. 5 moves? 1 move is enough. Kong Jin grinned. Leave it to me. Xian Yanqing spoke as he slowly walked forward. Yu Bo was so angry that his mouth was crooked. What was wrong with these brats? It was as if he was made out of clay. He said that he would finish him in 1 move in 5 moves. Did he think that he was just a decoration? Little girl, scram. Yu Bo shouted, and the powerful aura of the 3rd layer of the spiritual ocean tier exploded. Everyone else's expression changed, and they all retreated. Boom. Yu Bo stretched out his hand and formed a huge claw that grabbed towards Xian Yanqing. Xian Yanqing stretched out a snow-white hand and gently pressed forward. The terrifying pressure of the heavenly demon force field suddenly descended, and then, a destructive cutting power erupted. Xian Yanqing's destruction mentality and win mentality had long since merged successfully. Now that he had broken through to the Sea of Soul realm, his sky demon power field and destruction cutting power were countless times stronger than before. Bang! Bang! Yu Bo's huge hand made of true essence and mentality exploded, and the destruction cutting power blasted onto his body, almost cutting him in 2. He screamed as his body flew out, coughing up large mouthfuls of blood. He looked at Xian Yanqing with a face full of horror. Just now, he really felt that he was almost cut in 2. He didn't know that it was Xian Yanqing who showed mercy. Otherwise, he would have really been cut in 2. Let's go! Lu Ming turned and left. Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin followed Lu Ming and left, leaving behind a bunch of dumbfounded people. It was too terrifying. They had already tried to overestimate Lu Ming's group, but in the end, they still underestimated them. The battle prowess of Lu Ming's group was simply unfathomable. Even Yu Bo, who was at the early stage of the third layer of the spiritual ocean tier, was easily defeated. They couldn't help but be filled with anticipation for this competition. Perhaps they could really make it into the top 3? Yu Bo's face alternated between green and red. Finally, he waved his hand and said, "Sect Master Qiao, since you have such prodigies, why did you invite me? This time, I withdraw. I won't accept any of the treasures you gave me." Finished speaking, he strode away. However, Qiao Long had no intention of keeping him. If it was before, he would definitely try his best to keep him. After all, Yu Bo was an expert that he invited with great effort, and was also the only third layer of the spiritual ocean tier elite from the Ocean Cloud sect. But now, he realized that there was no need. Whether Yu Bo was here or not, it didn't seem to have much effect on the overall situation. If Yu Bo left, he could just find a random spiritual ocean tier martial artist to add in. As long as Lu Ming and the other 2 were here, it was enough. A day passed in the blink of an eye. The competition for the 100 Supremes mountain spots officially began. This time, there were a total of 36 forces participating in the competition around the 3 cities. Only the top 6 could get a spot. The first place had 8 Ming. The second place had 6 spots. The third place had 5 spots. The fourth and fifth place had 4 spots respectively. The sixth place only had 3 spots. There were a total of 30 spots. The location of the competition was on a mountain peak at the intersection of the 3 cities. This mountain peak was called Juping Peak. The peak of Juping Peak was very flat. There was a huge battle stage built on it, and there were many spectator seats around it. In the past, any major events in the 3 cities would be held on Juping Peak. On this day, there was a sea of people on Juping Peak. The 36 forces were clearly divided, sitting in 4 corners. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Kong Jin sat in the crowd of the Ocean Cloud sect, looking around. Not far from them, 2 forces away, were the people from the Wind Sword sect. Clear River's 2 monsters. I don't know what method the Wind Sword sect used, but they actually managed to invite the Clear River's 2 monsters. Qiao Xian looked in the direction of the Wind Sword sect and said softly. Lu Ming looked over and saw Yi Fa sitting at the top of the Wind Sword sect's group. Below him were many disciples and elders of the Wind Sword sect. Among them, there were 2 skinny old men in green robes. Their eyes were cold as they glanced at Lu Ming's group from time to time. In the Wind Sword sect, Yi Qing was among them. She looked at Lu Ming's group with eyes full of hatred. "Ting, don't worry. This time, as long as the Wind Sword sect meets us, we will definitely cripple them. It's impossible for them to get a spot. Also, the Clear River's 2 monsters are dead for sure." Kong Jin revealed a sinister smile. Ruan Tingting nodded. Her eyes revealed a bone-deep hatred. Wind Sword sect's area. Seniors, the 3 juniors from the Ocean Cloud sect cannot be underestimated. They are very strong. If you meet them, try to kill them. Yi Fa said to the Clear River's 2 monsters. "Don't worry. Hee, that chick is really beautiful. She's even prettier than Ruan Tingting. Us brothers must get her." The leader of the Clear River's 2 monsters snickered coldly. His eyes were filled with evil fire as he looked at Xian Yanqing. "When the time comes, as long as we kill those 2 brats, that chick will be yours to play with." Chapter 770. This time, after losing Ruan Tingting, he had to pay a huge price to invite the 2 freaks of Clear River. When he thought of the price he had to pay, he was heartbroken. It was all because of that bitch Ruan Tingting and Lu Ming's meddling. Otherwise, he wouldn't have to pay such a huge price. He was determined to win the competition this time. Apart from his daughter, Yi Qing, he had 2 sons. He had to fight for the spots to enter the 100 Supremes mountain for his 2 sons. Only then could his Yi clan continue to prosper. Moreover, Yi Fa sneered. Others didn't know that his Yi clan's ancestor had broken through from the 3rd layer of the spiritual sea realm to the 4th layer of the spiritual sea realm a few days ago. His battle strength had increased greatly. This way, the Windsword sect's strength had increased greatly. This time, his Windsword sect not only wanted to get into the top 6, but also the top 3 or even the first place. Just as his imagination was running wild, a figure appeared in the sky and emitted a terrifying pressure. The judge had arrived. Their competition would be hosted by someone from the depths of Nine Dragon City. There were 3 dragon veins in the depths of Nine Dragon City. They didn't belong to any faction, but belonged to the Dtion Forbidden Guard, which was the direct force of Martial Emperor Di. Even the 6 ancient clans didn't have the right to use them. That force was extremely terrifying. This judge belonged to the Dtion Forbidden Guard. The Dtion Forbidden Guard could be said to be the core force of the Dtion Divine Guards. The leaders of the 36 factions stood up and greeted the judge. Alright, let's not talk too much. The competition for the spots to enter the 100 Supremes Mountain starts now. There are a total of 36 factions. Those who are going to fight stand out. If anyone dies in the middle of the competition, you can't replace them. The judge announced. Immediately, the members of the 36 factions stood up and flew to the center of the fighting ring. Lu Ming's group and the other 6 members of the Sea Cloud sect flew to the fighting ring and stood in a row. Everyone looked at the people on the fighting ring, observing their opponents and which experts they had. This time around, there are so many strong rogue cultivators that have been invited out. All the major forces have really paid a huge price for this. Yeah, look, the Windsword sect invited the 2 freaks of Clear River. The boss of the 2 freaks of Clear River is a powerful warrior in the 4th layer of the spiritual ocean tier. He's a formidable opponent. There's also the Crimson Moon sect. The Crimson Moon sect invited 6 Fingers Loner, who is also a powerful warrior in the 4th layer of the spiritual ocean tier. The most terrifying one is the Intentionless Mansion. The Intentionless Mansion has always been known as the strongest of the 36 factions. They themselves have 2 powerful warriors in the 4th layer of the spiritual ocean tier. This time, a few unfamiliar faces have appeared in the team. I wonder what cultivation level they have? Many people looked at the fighting ring and discussed. Around the 3 cities, there were 36 forces, and they were all small forces. Normally, if there was an elite at the peak of the 3rd layer of the spiritual ocean tier, they would be considered upper-class forces, and if there was an elite at the 4th layer of the spiritual ocean tier, they would be a top-notch force. Ah look, the Sea Cloud sect actually sent out 3 young people in their 20s. It seems that the Sea Cloud sect really has no one else. That's right, huh? But with the strength of the Sea Cloud sect, they're only focused on participating. I don't think they're thinking about fighting for a spot. That's probably the case. They're just here to make up the numbers. Many people saw the lineup of the Sea Cloud sect and laughed. Of the people sent out by the 36 forces, except for the Sea Cloud sect, there wasn't a single youth under the age of 30. Ha Qiao Long, if your Sea Cloud sect has no one else, you can go yourself. Why send a few juniors to their deaths? There was a force beside the Sea Cloud sect called the Ironbone sect. At this moment, the sect leader of the Ironbone sect laughed loudly and looked at Qiao Long. The Ironbone sect had always had a grudge with the Sea Cloud sect. Although they were slightly stronger than the Sea Cloud sect, they also invited a few powerful warriors this time. Now that they saw that the Sea Cloud sect even called a few juniors up, they naturally had to seize the opportunity to ridicule them. Maybe Brother Qiao just wants to go through the motions. Once the competition starts, he'll immediately admit defeat and nothing will happen. On the other side, the sect leader of the Crimson Moon sect mocked. Normally, the sect leaders and family heads of the major forces wouldn't fight. After all, they were sect leaders. If they fought and died in battle, the impact would be great. The battle hasn't started yet. Don't speak so early, or else you'll be embarrassed. Qiao Long said calmly. Ha, Qiao Long, according to what you said, those juniors are peerless geniuses? Ha. The sect leader of the Ironbone sect laughed even louder, full of ridicule. Geniuses? There weren't many who could be called geniuses in the entire Eastern Wilderness. Only the top 600 geniuses on the list of top 1,000 geniuses had reached the sea spirit realm. Even if some rising talents were included, there wouldn't be more than 1,000 geniuses. Among these 1,000 geniuses, the Heavenly Corpse sect and the Talisman Puppet sect took up a portion, while the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace only had a portion. How could a small sea cloud sect invite geniuses? Not only did the sect leader of the Ironbone sect not believe it, but the other forces also didn't believe it. They look down on us. When the time comes, we'll let Lu Ming and the others teach them a lesson and surprise them. Qiao Xian and Ruan Tingting were sitting together. At this moment, they were pouting and snorting coldly. They were very unhappy. Okay, you guys go back to your seats. The referee in the sky looked at them and nodded. Lu Ming and the others returned to their seats. The rules this time are very simple. There are a total of 36 forces, and I'll call out the names later. The two forces that are called out will fight against each other. The winner will advance, and the loser will be eliminated. In the second round, there will be 18 forces left, and they will also fight against each other to determine the top 9. Finally, the top 9 will take turns to fight against each other. The top 6 will obtain a place to enter the 100 Supremes Mountain. Now, let's begin. After the referee announced the names, he glanced at the field and called out, Red Moon Sect versus Zhang Clan. Immediately, two forces entered the field. One was the Red Moon Sect, and the other was the Zhang Clan. The Zhang Clan is bound to lose. They're not strong to begin with. The Red Moon Sect has 2 patriarchs at the peak of the 3rd tier of the spiritual sea realm, and they've even invited Six-Finger Sanren. This time, they have a chance to enter the top 6. That's right, but this makes sense. The weak will be eliminated, and the strong will advance. Everyone was discussing as they looked at the field. The 9 people of the Zhang clan looked very serious. Once they entered the field, their figures changed and formed a battle formation. Light circulated. The difference in strength is so big. How can a battle formation change that? Attack directly and defeat them. In the Red Moon Sect, there was a green-haired old man with 6 fingers. He was the Six-Finger Sanren. He strode forward in a domineering manner and defeated the Zhang clan's battle formation in a barbaric way. The strongest in the Zhang clan were 2 martial artists at the middle stage of the 3rd tier of the spiritual sea realm. They were no match for him at all. Soon, the battle formation was defeated, and one of their martial artists at the 3rd tier of the spiritual sea realm was killed by Six-Finger and the other 2. The others were shocked and hurriedly admitted defeat. Chapter 771. The Crimson Moon Sect won easily. Next, the referee selected 2 more forces to fight. The strength of these 2 forces was also quite different, and the winner was easily determined. Following that, the competition continued without stopping. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 matches had been carried out. Next, the Sea Cloud Sect versus the Ironbone Sect. The referee's voice came. Qiao Long, I didn't expect to fight with your Sea Cloud Sect. Just what I want. The Ironbone Sect leader laughed. Qiao Long was slightly stunned, then sneered, This is what I want to say. Just what I want. Swish. Swish. Figures flashed, and 9 people from each side jumped onto the fighting ring. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing stood behind the formation, looking at each other. The Ironbone Sect invited a few experts. There were 2 at the late stage of the 3rd layer of the spiritual sea realm, and 1 at the 3rd layer of the spiritual sea realm. The others were all at the 2nd layer of the spiritual sea realm. On Lu Ming's side, the strongest was only at the peak of the 2nd layer of the spiritual sea realm, and there were as many as 5 at the 1st layer of the spiritual sea realm. Sea Cloud Sect, I advise you to admit defeat. There is no suspense in this match. In the Ironbone Sect, a burly man laughed. Your last sentence is right. There is no suspense in this match, but you are the ones who lost. Hurry up and admit defeat, and you can reduce some losses. The Fatty Kong Jean carried his battle axe and grinned. Fatty, what did you say? You want us to admit defeat? Is there something wrong with your head? The burly man from the Iron Bone sect laughed, full of ridicule. Around the fighting ring, people from other forces also laughed. The lineup of the Sea Cloud sect was really terrible. There were actually 5 at the first layer of the spiritual sea realm. It could be said that it was one of the worst forces among the 36 forces. And that fatty actually boasted shamelessly that he wanted the Iron Bone faction to admit defeat? It was really funny. You dare to talk to me like that? Hee hee, I will remember it. Kong Jin looked at the burly man and smiled ferociously. You don't have to make a move. I can defeat them alone. The burly man from the Iron Bone sect showed coldness in his eyes and stepped forward. Boom, boom. As he stepped forward, the battle platform rumbled. His aura of the 3rd layer of the spiritual ocean tier completely exploded, and a battle axe appeared in his hand. With his cultivation at the late stage of the 3rd layer of the spiritual ocean realm, he alone was enough to defeat such a lineup of the Sea Cloud sect. Lu Ming, don't do anything. Let me do it alone. Kong Jin shouted as he carried his battle axe and rushed forward. The spectators were speechless. This fatty really boasted shamelessly. With a mere cultivation in the 1st layer of the spiritual ocean tier, he actually dared to threaten to defeat 9 people from the Iron Bone sect by himself? How could this be? The people of the Iron Bone faction even revealed mocking smiles. Kill! The Iron Bone sect's big man shouted loudly. His voice was like thunder as he chopped his axe towards Kong Jin. Kong Jin smiled ferociously. He waved his hand, and the battle axe, which was as big as a door, slashed forward. Clang, bang. The 2 axes slashed together. First, there was a clang sound. Then, an amazing scene appeared. The battle axe in the burly man's hand directly exploded and turned into fragments that scattered in all directions. Kong Jin's battle axe did not stop and continued to slash down. No! The burly man shouted in horror. Poochie! The next moment, he was directly split into 2 halves by Kong Jin's battle axe. The whole place suddenly quieted down. Everyone's eyeballs instantly popped out as they watched all this in shock. Kong Jin, a martial artist in the 1st layer of the spiritual ocean tier, actually killed a martial artist in the late stage of the 3rd layer of the spiritual ocean tier with 1 move. How could this be? It was too incredible. Kill! Before anyone could react, Kong Jin had already held his battle axe and rushed towards the people of the Iron Bone sect like a mad beast. The battle axe's attack was as violent as a storm. Set up the formation, set up the formation. The people of the Iron Bone sect only reacted now and shouted in horror. The remaining 8 people hurriedly set up a battle formation, wanting to stop Kong Jin. But they were useless after all. Kong Jin's attack was too violent. He comprehended the shattering concept and the earth concept. The combination of these 2 concepts had an unimaginable destructive power. Boom, boom. With just a few moves, the Iron Bone sect's great formation was broken into pieces by Kong Jin. With a wave of the battle axe, another expert in the late stage of the 3rd layer of the spiritual ocean tier was killed. Another expert in the early stage of the 3rd layer of the spiritual ocean tier was also killed. Kong Jin was like a violent beast, undefeatable. Admit defeat, we admit defeat. The remaining 6 people screamed crazily and were already scared out of their wits. Really weak. Kong Jin curled his lips and was a little unhappy. He carried his battle axe and walked back. All around, everyone could only widen their eyes and stare blankly at this scene, looking at Kong Jin blankly. Too strong, he defeated the Iron Bone sect alone. The Iron Bone sect was really pitiful. Just now, the burly man said that he would defeat the Sea Cloud sect alone, but in the end he was defeated by Kong Jin alone. How could it be? How could it be? In the area of the Iron Bone sect, the sect leader's face was pale. He looked at this scene in disbelief and muttered to himself. Didn't I just say it? Don't be too sure of your words before the battle. Otherwise, you'll be embarrassed. Xiao Long looked at the sect leader of the Iron Bone sect and laughed loudly. Prodigy, this is definitely a prodigy. Xiao Long, how could your Sea Cloud sect invite such a person? The sect leader of the Iron Bone sect said with red eyes. With the cultivation of the first layer of the spiritual ocean tier, he could actually kill an expert in the late stage of the third layer of the spiritual ocean tier with one move. This battle prowess had already reached the fourth layer of the spiritual ocean tier. This was not only a prodigy, but also not an ordinary prodigy, but a top prodigy. How could a mere sea cloud sect invite such a powerful prodigy? You don't have to worry about this. Xiao Long sneered, feeling extremely comfortable in his heart. At this time, the leaders of the other major forces were also discussing animatedly. That fatty is definitely a top prodigy. Crossing more than 2 levels to kill an opponent, incredible. Ordinary prodigies definitely can't do it. His battle prowess has probably reached the fourth layer of the spiritual ocean tier. The first layer of the spiritual ocean tier is actually equivalent to the fourth layer of the spiritual ocean tier. This is too terrifying. Not necessarily. In my opinion, his battle axe is very powerful, shattering the opponent's spirit weapon in one move. The opponent was stunned for a moment before being killed by him in one move. His battle prowess may not have reached the fourth layer of the spiritual ocean tier, but it's infinitely close. Makes sense. The people around were discussing. On the battle platform, the other participants of the Sea Cloud sect were also a little stunned. They just stood on the stage for a while, and they didn't even set up a battle formation, and they won. This victory was too easy. Don't waste it. Lu Ming's figure flashed and collected the storage rings of the 3 martial artists killed by Kong Jin. At the same time, he took the opportunity to swallow the blood essence. This was the blood essence of a martial artist in the third layer of the spiritual ocean tier. Lu Ming didn't want to waste it. Fatty, 3 storage rings, 1 for each person. After speaking, Lu Ming threw 1 to Kong Jin and 1 to Xian Yanqing, keeping 1 for himself. Now, he was too short of spirit crystals to let it go. Chapter 772. This battle, the Sea Cloud sect wins. The referee announced. Lu Ming and the others stepped off the stage, welcoming the cheers of the Sea Cloud sect. The other sects looked at the Sea Cloud sect, revealing a trace of seriousness. The Sea Cloud sect, regardless of the others, had Kong Jin, which was very troublesome. The competition continued. Lu Ming sat in the stands, refining the essence blood with all his strength. The essence blood of 3 martial artists in the third layer of the spiritual sea realm was really too rich. It was the first time that Lu Ming swallowed such rich and powerful essence blood. He used all the essence blood power to upgrade the second bloodline. He planned to upgrade the prison-suppressing steel bloodline to the divine grade first. In that way, the power of the prison-suppressing celestial skill would increase greatly. Then he would upgrade the 9 dragons bloodline. The powerful essence blood power constantly poured into the prison-suppressing steel bloodline. Time passed quickly. Not long after, the first round of the competition ended, and the top 18 were all born. Those who won were happy, because they were 1 step closer to the top 6. And those who lost were dejected. Such a great opportunity was lost. The referee let the major forces rest for an hour, and then began the second round. The second round was still arranged by the referee. The referee seemed to be intentional. Those most powerful forces were not arranged together at the beginning, but were separated. This way it seemed fair. If those powerful forces met at the beginning, then there would be forces that could attack the top 6. It would be a bit unfair if they were eliminated in advance. The second round of the competition continued. There were a total of 9 battles for the 18 forces. The Sea Cloud sect was arranged for the 7th battle. At this time, the essence blood in Lu Ming's body was almost completely refined. Although the essence blood of 3 martial artists in the third layer of the spiritual sea realm was rich, it was impossible to upgrade the prison-suppressing steel bloodline to the divine grade. It only reached the perfection of the 9th level of the king grade. To break through to the divine grade, it was unknown how much essence blood was needed. In this battle, the Sea Cloud sect's opponent was the Surging Wave sect. This force had an elite in the peak of the third layer of the spiritual sea realm, and there were also several other experts in the third layer of the spiritual sea realm. At the beginning of the competition, the opponent formed a battle formation, prioritizing defense. On the Sea Cloud sect's side, Kong Jin launched a storm of attacks, and the others only assisted. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing never made a move, following behind the crowd. This was their plan. First of all, Kong Jin only needed to make a move. Their targets were the stronger powers. It was not their turn to make a move yet. In this battle, in the end, under Kong Jin's storm-like attacks, the opponent's battle formation was destroyed. That martial artist at the peak of the third layer of the spiritual ocean realm was heavily injured and was almost chopped off by Kong Jin's axe. Luckily, they admitted defeat in time. In this way, the Sea Cloud sect had already locked in the top 9. The last 2 rounds ended quickly, and the top 9 were all out. Intentionless Mansion, Sea Cloud sect, Crimson Moon sect, Wind Sword sect, Sure family. In the process of entering the top 9, the most shocking was still the Wind Sword sect. Not only did the Wind Sword sect have the 2 freaks of Clear River, but an ancestor of the Wind Sword sect also erupted in this battle and displayed the cultivation of the 4th layer of the spiritual ocean tier, shocking everyone. The Wind Sword sect actually had 2 powerful martial artists in the 4th layer of the spiritual ocean tier, and was thought by everyone to be the most likely to enter the top 3, or even the top 2. As for Intentionless Mansion, there was no doubt that it was considered the strongest. After entering the top 9, the next step was to take turns fighting. Each force would have to fight against the other 8 forces, and the ranking would be determined according to the results. The order of the battles would be decided by drawing lots. The first battle was between Intentionless Mansion and Sure family. Sure family was Sure Kai's family. They were also very powerful, having an ancestor in the 4th layer of the spiritual ocean tier. However, this battle was against Intentionless Mansion, and there was no suspense at all. They had not even started the battle, and Sure family had already admitted defeat. It was a ranking battle now, not an elimination battle. Of course, they had to admit defeat. Otherwise, if they lost a few experts, how would they compete later? So, when encountering an opponent like Intentionless Mansion that they could not defeat, admitting defeat was the wisest choice. And no one would look down on Sure family. In the second battle, the Wind Sword sect took the field. His opponent also admitted defeat directly. Intentionless Mansion and Wind Sword sect easily obtained a victory. As long as they won 3 consecutive battles, entering the top 6 would not be a problem. Everyone in the Wind Sword sect smiled. Yi Fei's face was also full of smiles. Only one person's face was more ferocious, and that was Yi Qing. Her cultivation was crippled. No matter how good the Wind Sword sect's results were, or how many spots they had, there was no place for her. Thus, her hatred for Yuan Tingting and Lu Ming grew even stronger. The matches were carried out one by one. Sea Cloud sect against Crimson Moon sect. The referee's voice spread far and wide. They actually met Crimson Moon sect in the first battle of the ranking battle. Xiao Long, your winning streak ends here. The Crimson Moon sect leader looked coldly at Xiao Long. Is that so? Don't be like that bag of bones just now, in a sorry state. Xiao Long responded with a sneer, looking at the Iron Bone sect leader. The Iron Bone sect leader was so angry that his teeth itched. He was reprimanded, and Xiao Long dragged him in again, making him and the others depressed. Isn't your Sea Cloud sect relying on that fatty? As long as you send someone to hold him back, the others can easily defeat the rest of the Sea Cloud sect, and then join forces to deal with that fatty. It's easy to win. The Crimson Moon sect leader smiled faintly. Is that so? Xiao Long responded coldly, not saying much. On the battle stage, Lu Ming's group and the Crimson Moon sect's group stood opposite each other. Fatty, the Crimson Moon sect will definitely send that expert at the 4th level of the spiritual sea realm to hold you back, and then the others will defeat us and join forces to deal with you. Wait a moment, don't be too strong. Our target is the Wind Sword sect. If you're too strong and the Wind Sword sect directly admits defeat when they meet us, then it won't be easy. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Kong Jin. Lu Ming, don't worry. Wait a moment, I'll struggle to defeat my opponent. Kong Jin grinned and transmitted his voice to Lu Ming. Lu Ming also smiled faintly. This time, their target was the Wind Sword sect. If the Wind Sword sect wanted to enter the top 6, they would have to be extremely lucky to meet them later. If they met them earlier, then the Wind Sword sect wouldn't be able to enter the top 6. Do it. In the Crimson Moon sect, the Six Fingers Loose Cultivator lightly shouted, and his figure flashed as fast as lightning, pouncing towards Kong Jin. As for the other 8 people from the Crimson Moon sect, they quickly pounced towards Lu Ming's group. The Crimson Moon sect's strength was very strong. Other than the Six Fingers Loose Cultivator who was at the 4th level of the Spiritual Sea Realm, there was also an expert at the peak of the 3rd level of the Spiritual Sea Realm. There were also some other experts, and their overall strength wasn't weak. Set up the formation. Lu Ming roared. The 8 of them set up a large formation, and with a flash of light, a light screen enveloped them. Kong Jin and the Six Fingers Loose Cultivator engaged in an intense battle. And the other people from the Crimson Moon sect also attacked. Boom, boom. The experts of the Crimson Moon sect attacked them with all kinds of attacks, but their battle formation was obtained from the inheritance that Lu Ming sealed in his mind by Liao Tsang, and it was extremely exquisite. In addition, Lu Ming and Xian Yanxing slightly burst out with some of their strength, and combined with the battle formation, they blocked the attacks of the Crimson Moon sect. As for Kong Jin, he intentionally suppressed his strength and fought to a draw with the Six Fingers Loose Cultivator. Chapter 773. But this was enough to shock the other forces. I didn't expect the Ocean Cloud sect to be so strong. That fatty's battle prowess is indeed equivalent to the 4th layer of the spiritual ocean realm. He can actually tie with the Six Fingers Man. How terrifying! Moreover, the Ocean Cloud sect's battle formation is so powerful and mysterious. It's a pure defensive battle formation. The 8 of them cooperated seamlessly and blocked the Crimson Moon sect's attack. Did you see it? Those 2 youths aren't simple either. 1st layer of the spiritual ocean realm and peak 2nd layer of the spiritual ocean realm battle prowess. They're almost at the level of geniuses. How did the Sea Cloud sect manage to invite such people? There were many discussions all around, but they didn't know that whether it was Lu Ming, Xian Yanxing, or Kong Jin, they were all suppressing their battle prowess. Lu Ming and Xian Yanxing only exploded with the battle prowess of the peak 2nd layer of the spiritual ocean realm. Exploding with the battle prowess of the peak 2nd layer of the spiritual ocean realm at the 1st layer of the spiritual ocean realm was already comparable to some of the weakest geniuses, such as Qin Qingshan and Gao Chang. But Lu Ming and the other 2 weren't ordinary geniuses. Xian Yanxing and the other 2 each comprehended at least one powerful special concept, and fused at least 2. Adding on their powerful bloodline martial skills and cultivation methods, they were all extraordinary. In addition, they all cultivated the super spiritual ocean secret technique, which doubled the area of their spiritual ocean. Each of their battle prowess was extremely terrifying, and it wasn't hard to kill ordinary 4th layer spiritual ocean realm warriors. The 2 of them exchanged 100 moves with each other. At this time, Kong Jin roared again and again like a fierce beast. His huge axe chopped crazily, gradually gaining the upper hand. Another dozen moves. The Six Fingers Man spat out a mouthful of blood. His chest was swept by Kong Jin's battle axe, and a deep bloody mark appeared. He was almost split in half. He turned pale with fright, cold sweat dripping down his forehead as he frantically retreated. Kong Jin held his battle axe and chased crazily. Boom! Another move, and the Six Fingers Man's body was sent flying by Kong Jin's axe, flying out of the battle stage. Flying out of the battle stage, he was defeated. Consider yourself lucky. Kong Jin let out a sinister smile as he raised his battle axe and charged towards the other members of the Crimson Moon sect. Admit defeat, we admit defeat. The other members of the Crimson Moon sect immediately admitted defeat when they saw that the Six-Fingered Wanderer had been defeated. How could they dare to continue fighting? Following the Crimson Moon sect's admission of defeat, the Sea Cloud sect obtained their first victory in the ranking battle. How boring! Kong Jin returned to his seat, took out a large lamb leg, and started to gnaw on it. As I said, you spoke too early just now. Xiao Long sneered as he looked at the Scarlet Moon sect's sect leader. The sect leader of the Crimson Moon sect snorted coldly with a gloomy face. The battle strategy of the Sea Cloud Martial School is very simple. They will rely on that defensive array to defend, and in terms of attack, they will completely rely on that fatty. That fatty's battle prowess is slightly stronger than the Six Fingers Lone Cultivator. As long as there is an expert stronger than the Six Fingers Lone Cultivator to stall that fatty, or even two experts in the fourth layer of the spiritual ocean realm to defeat that fatty, then the Sea Cloud Martial School will definitely lose. That's right. The key is that fatty. He's not easy to deal with. This time, the Sea Cloud Martial School will have no problem entering the top 6. That guy Qiaolong is really lucky to have invited such a genius. The leaders of the other forces were whispering to each other. In the Windsword Sect's area, Yi Fa and the others were also discussing. Forefather, 2 seniors, if we encounter the Sea Cloud Martial School, do we have a chance of winning? Yi Fa sent a message to the forefather of the Windsword Sect and the 2 freaks of Clear River. Don't worry, sect leader Yi. This old man's cultivation is stronger than the Six Fingers Lone Cultivator, and it's enough to suppress that fatty. With brother Yi, it's enough to kill that fatty. At that time, victory will be in our grasp. The leader of the 2 freaks of Clear River said. The brother Yi he was referring to was the forefather of the Windsword Sect. It's more difficult to completely annihilate the Sea Cloud Martial School. As long as we kill that fatty, the others will definitely admit defeat, and then we won't be able to kill more people. The leader of the 2 freaks of Clear River continued. If we can kill that fatty, that's not bad. Yi Fa nodded. He looked in the direction of the Sea Cloud Martial School. For some reason he still wasn't confident. He was worried about Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing. Although Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing had already displayed battle prowess at the peak of the 2nd layer of the spiritual ocean realm, he still wasn't confident. He himself was at the early stage of the 2nd layer of the spiritual ocean realm, but last time at the Windsword Sect, Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing gave him a very strong pressure. He could vaguely feel that Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing's battle prowess wasn't just at the peak of the 2nd layer of the spiritual ocean realm. But even if they reached the 3rd layer of the spiritual ocean realm, what use would it be? If the 2 freaks of Clear River and the forefather killed that fatty, they would definitely win. Yi Fa warned himself in his heart. The competition continued. Soon the first round was over and they entered the 2nd round. When they encountered the forces of the Intentionless Mansion, they still admitted defeat directly. Windsword Sect vs. Sea Cloud Martial School. Suddenly, the referee's voice was heard. Lu Ming's eyes suddenly shone brightly. Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin were the same. They didn't expect to encounter the Windsword Sect in the 2nd round. How lucky! Lu Ming, are you guys confident? Xiao Xian looked at Lu Ming and the others. The Windsword Sect had 2 experts at the 4th layer of the spiritual ocean realm. Don't worry. You don't think I'm not even as good as this fatty, right? Lu Ming chuckled. Kong Jin pursed his lips but didn't refute. Ting Ting, watch. We'll eliminate the 2 freaks of Clear River in this battle. Lu Ming said to Ruan Tingting with a smile. You guys be careful. Ruan Tingting said softly. Let's go. It's time to fight. Lu Ming smiled and flew onto the fighting ring with Kong Jin and the others. The people of the Windsword Sect also went onto the fighting ring. I advise you to admit defeat as soon as possible, hee. The leader of the 2 freaks of Clear River chuckled coldly. His eyes stared at Xian Yanqing with evil fire burning in them. Old man, hurry up and admit defeat. Wait a minute, my big axe doesn't recognize people. Kong Jin waved the battle axe in his hand and sneered. Fatty, Shaoqing, follow the plan later. Leave the 2 freaks of Clear River to me. Leave the Windsword Sect's ancestor to Fatty. Shaoqing, you're in charge of shutting the others up. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Kong Jin and Xian Yanqing. The 2 nodded. Hee, since that's the case, then die. The 2 freaks of Clear River revealed cold, murderous intent. Their figures flashed and pounced on Kong Jin. At the same time, the Windsword Sect's ancestor also pounced on Kong Jin. As for the others, they pounced on Lu Ming and the others. Swish. At this moment, Everyone saw a figure flash and suddenly appear in front of the leader of the two freaks of Clear River. "Old man, I'll send you on your way today." Lu Ming sneered. "Just you?" The two freaks of Clear River shouted coldly and struck a palm at Lu Ming. Their cultivation of the fourth layer of the spiritual sea realm burst out and was extremely terrifying. Lu Ming smiled faintly and threw out a punch. Boom! A huge explosion sounded. The leader of the two freaks of Clear River trembled and took 2 steps back. How could this be? Chapter 774. All around, the spectators were even more shocked. First of all, Lu Ming suddenly rushed out and appeared in front of the leader of the two freaks of Qing River, which already shocked many people. In their opinion, shouldn't Lu Ming stay in the battle formation and focus on defense? Wasn't the main battle force of the Ocean Cloud sect that fatty? But then, Lu Ming defeated the leader of the two freaks of Qing River with one move, which almost made the others jump up in shock. Hiding his strength. Lu Ming definitely hid his strength before. His true battle strength was actually so powerful that he could defeat the leader of the two freaks of Qing River with one move. One should know that the leader of the two freaks of Qing River was even stronger than the Six Fingers Loose cultivator. Many people understood that they had underestimated the strength of the Ocean Cloud sect. To be precise, they had underestimated the strength of those few youngsters. They didn't show it just now because they didn't need to. At this moment, Xian Yanqing's Sky Demon Force field had already enveloped the other members of the Wind Sword sect. The terrifying pressure suddenly pressed down, making the speed of those from the Wind Sword sect as slow as a turtle. Ha! Kill! Kong Jin laughed and swung his battle axe. The Wind Sword sect's ancestor's body trembled violently as he staggered back, his face pale. Come in together. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming punched out with both fists. 2 rays of fist light, one headed towards the leader of the two freaks of Qing River, and the other headed towards the second brother. The second brother of the two freaks of Qing River was only at the peak of the 3rd layer of the spiritual sea realm. He was sent flying by one punch and coughed out blood. Kill! An even more terrifying fist light followed, drowning the second brother of the two freaks of Qing River. The second brother of the two freaks of Qing River screamed as his body was blasted apart by Lu Ming's fist force. He died on the spot. Second brother! The leader of the two freaks of Qing River roared. His eyes were red as he unleashed all of his strength and attacked Lu Ming. Little bastard, I'm going to kill you! The sword qi in the leader's hand was like a river, gushing towards Lu Ming. The sharp qi spread out and cut open the space. It's your turn now. Lu Ming's eyes were cold as he struck out with his palm. The hell-suppressing heaven art was activated, and his palm was like a heavenly steel. Bang! The river of sword qi collapsed, and the suppressing hell heavenly skill suppressed everything. The two freaks of Qing River screamed in agony as they retreated, blood gushing out of their mouths. How could this be? He roared madly, looking at Lu Ming with eyes full of disbelief and fear. His cultivation had already reached the middle stage of the 4th layer of the spiritual ocean tier, and his battle prowess was not weak, but he was actually not Lu Ming's match and was completely crushed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming was only in the 1st layer of the spiritual ocean tier, so how could there be such a monster? His heart trembled. In the next moment he heard a shriek. On the other side, the Wind Sword sect master was in an even worse state. One of his arms was chopped off by Kong Jin, and his entire body was covered in blood. The strength that Kong Jin displayed was even stronger than when he fought against Six-Fingered Wanderer. All around, everyone was shocked to the extreme. The strength that Lu Ming had displayed was extremely shocking. He had completely suppressed the leader of the Clear River twin monsters. Even the strength that Kong Jin displayed was even stronger than before. Hiding their strength. Previously, they had all hidden their strength. Even Kong Jin had not used his full strength before. In the Crimson Moon Sect's area, Six-Fingered Wanderer's face was a little pale. He originally thought that Kong Jin's battle prowess was stronger than his, but not by much. But now, he understood that Kong Jin was just pretending. In the Intentionless Mansion, many of the Intentionless Mansion's experts had serious expressions. Fatty, send them on their way. Lu Ming sneered and strode forward, striking down with his palm. A terrifying pressure suddenly exploded, as if it was going to suppress and crush the leader of the Clear River twin monsters. The leader of the Clear River twin monsters tried his best to resist, but one of his arms was directly shattered. On the other side, the Windsword Sex Elder was even more miserable. A deep wound appeared on his chest, and he was almost split in half by Kong Jin. Admit defeat, we admit defeat. I admit defeat. The leader of the Clear River twin monsters and the elder of the Windsword sect both roared. Kill! Kill! Lu Ming and Kong Jin continued to charge forward. Why aren't you guys stopping? We've already admitted defeat. The elder of the Windsword sect roared. What a joke. Now there are 8 of you left. More than half of you have to admit defeat for it to be effective. Only 2 of you have admitted defeat. Lu Ming sneered. You guys, hurry up and admit defeat. The leader of the Clear River twin monsters felt the murderous intent from Lu Ming and was about to cry. He roared at the other members of the Windsword sect. However, the other members of the Windsword sect were having a hard time. They were enveloped by Xian Yanqing's Sky Demon force field. Most importantly, it contained a terrifying destructive force. They felt that they would be killed in the next moment. Moreover, as soon as they opened their mouths and shouted a word, the terrifying destructive force would strike at their mouths. It was impossible for them to speak. They were anxious, but they couldn't utter a word. It seems like they don't want to admit defeat. Lu Ming sneered and stepped forward. A terrifying pressure was exerted on the Clear River twin monsters. Cheating, they're cheating. Referee, we admit defeat. We want to admit defeat. On the spectator stand, Yi Ji stood up and roared crazily. You didn't even participate in the battle. What's the point of admitting defeat? Lu Ming looked at him from the corner of his eye and said coldly. They're about to admit defeat. You guys are the ones who are controlling them. You guys are cheating. Yi Fei's heart was burning with anxiety as he shouted loudly. According to the rules, you have to admit defeat personally to be considered as admitting defeat. In the sky, the referee said coldly. In his eyes, Lu Ming and the others were interesting. The referee couldn't be bothered with the life and death of the ants from the Windsword sect. He was only going by the rules. The referee's words made Yi Ji's face turn pale. On the battle stage, Kong Jin's roar was like thunder. He swung his battle axe, and the Windsword sect's patriarch was split in half. Bam! Lu Ming's palm landed on the chest of the Clear River twin monsters. The terrifying force shattered the heart and organs of the leader of the Clear River twin monsters. The Clear River twin monsters roared with unwillingness in their eyes. This time, they weren't here to die. Yi Ji had paid a heavy price to invite them here. If they knew that they would die, they definitely wouldn't have come. However, there was no medicine for regret in this world. The leader of the Clear River twin monsters roared with unwillingness and died. Lu Ming moved his hand and put away the storage ring of the Clear River twin monsters. He devoured the essence blood. Then his body flashed, and the essence blood of the Windsword sect's patriarch and the second leader of the Clear River twin monsters were also devoured. At this moment, the remaining people who were enveloped by Xian Yanqing's Sky Demon power field were so scared that their faces turned pale. Their bodies trembled, and they broke out in cold sweat. The Clear River twin monsters and the Windsword sect's patriarch were both killed. Was it time to kill them next? Yet, they couldn't admit defeat. All of their faces were pale, and their eyes were filled with pleading. Shao Qing, kill those at the 3rd level of the spiritual ocean realm. Leave the rest to Tingting. Lu Ming said. Xian Yanqing nodded. She pressed her hand down, and the destructive cutting force suddenly increased by several times. Poof! Chapter 775. Only 4 martial artists below the 3rd layer of the spiritual ocean realm were left on the battle ring, looking at Lu Ming's group in horror. Bang! In the spectator seats, in the Windsword sect's area, Yi Fei seemed to be drained of energy as he slumped on the chair. His eyes were filled with despair. Finished, the Windsword sect was finished. The two monsters of Clear River that he paid a huge price to invite died in battle, and the Wind Sword Sect's ancestor was killed. The Wind Sword Sect was finished for this competition. They only needed to win 2 more battles to get into the top 6 and at least get 3 spots. But now, there was no hope at all. They were already eliminated early. All their plans and arrangements were for naught. This wasn't the most important thing. The most important thing was that the Wind Sword Sect's ancestor was killed, and 2 other experts in the 3rd layer of the spiritual ocean realm were also killed. The Wind Sword Sect's strength plummeted, becoming the weakest among all the forces around the gathering luxury city. In the future, how could the Wind Sword Sect compete with other forces? They were destined to decline. All of this was because of Lu Ming's group. No, all of this was because of Ruan Tingting. Yi looked at Ruan Tingting's figure in the Ocean Cloud Sect's direction. All of this was because of this woman. They wanted to sacrifice Ruan Tingting's happiness and marry her to the 2 monsters of Clear River, which led to all of this. Immediately after, he recalled that when he proposed to marry Ruan Tingting to the 2 monsters of Clear River, Ruan Tingting said that she could ask a few friends to help the Wind Sword Sect participate in the competition. As for her friends, they were undoubtedly Lu Ming and the rest. Unfortunately, he didn't believe it at all. Not only did he reject Ruan Tingting, he even offended Lu Ming's group and sent them to the Ocean Cloud Sect. The Ocean Cloud Sect was only a small force, but because of Lu Ming's group joining, it had limitless glory. And all of this should have belonged to the Wind Sword Sect. If Lu Ming's group joined, there would be no need for the 2 monsters of Clear River. In addition, with the Wind Sword Sect's own strength, they would have a high chance of getting first place. Unfortunately, all of this was just everything was destroyed by his own hands. At this moment, Yi Fei's mouth was filled with bitterness. He regretted it, but he knew that everything could not be undone. Yi Qing was also dumbfounded. She had never expected this outcome. The strength of Lu Ming and the others had exceeded her expectations. She knew that she would never be able to take revenge in this lifetime. Lu Ming and the rest were not on the same level as her. They were not in the same world. As for the Sea Cloud Sect's area, it was the complete opposite of the Wind Sword Sect's. Chao Long was so excited that he laughed heartily. Tingting, look! Lu Ming and the others killed the 2 freaks of Qing River. Qiao Xian held Ruan Tingting's hand tightly. Ruan Tingting's eyes were filled with gratitude. She knew that Lu Ming and the others were doing this for her sake. Thank you. I will work hard in my cultivation. As for the rest, I will settle it myself. Ruan Tingting whispered. On the side, the Iron Bone faction and Crimson Moon sect had fought against the Sea Cloud sect. They rejoiced in their hearts, but they were also afraid. Just now, they had actually looked down on the Sea Cloud sect and Lu Ming's group. They were clearly top-notch geniuses. We admit defeat, admit defeat. On the battle ring, Xian Yanqing withdrew his Sky Demon power field, and the remaining 4 people shouted crazily. But no one was paying attention to them anymore. Almost all eyes were on Lu Ming, Kong Jin, and Xian Yanqing. They knew that Xian Yanqing was not to be underestimated. He actually controlled 6 experts by himself, and they couldn't even call out to admit defeat. Then, with a light wave of his hand, he took care of 2 experts in the 3rd layer of the spiritual sea realm. His methods were simply unpredictable and chilling. On the battle ring, the other 6 people from the Sea Cloud sect looked at each other and smiled bitterly. They understood that they were just here to make up the numbers. They had nothing to do with this competition. The Sea Cloud sect wins. The referee announced the result. Lu Ming returned to his seat and continued to refine the essence blood. Just now, the essence blood of the 5 people from the Wind Sword sect who were killed was all devoured by him. This time, the essence blood was even richer and scarier. 2 in the 4th layer of the spiritual sea realm and 3 in the 3rd layer of the spiritual sea realm. Lu Ming refined it with all his strength to improve the prison-suppressing steel bloodline. Next, the competition continued. However, the original 9 forces became 8. The Wind Sword sect was already eliminated, and they were unable to fight anymore. The following competition was much simpler. After witnessing the terror of Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Kong Jin, The other forces directly admitted defeat when they met the Sea Cloud sect. The Intentionless Mansion and the Sea Cloud sect maintained a complete victory. When the ranking battle was about to end, the essence blood in Lu Ming's body was completely refined. However, the prison-suppressing steel bloodline showed no signs of advancing. Lu Ming knew in his heart that it wouldn't be that easy, so he wasn't too disappointed. Not sure if it was a coincidence or intentional, the referee left the battle between the Intentionless Mansion and the Sea Cloud sect to the end. The Intentionless Mansion versus the Sea Cloud sect. When the referee said this, everyone present was energized. The Intentionless Mansion had won all the ranking battles until now without a single battle. No one knew how strong the Intentionless Mansion was. On the surface, the Intentionless Mansion had 2 in the 4th level of the spiritual sea realm, and one of them was in the later stage. But they must have asked for external help. The Sea Cloud sect had fought 2 battles and won all the way until now. Who was stronger in the battle between these 2 forces? Everyone was curious. Figures flashed, and both sides stepped onto the battle platform. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin stood at the front, and the other 6 stood behind. They knew that they were only here to make up the numbers. As long as they defended well, it would be fine. They didn't ask for merit, but to not make any mistakes. The 3 of you are so young and have such battle strength. I am truly impressed. From the Intentionless Mansion, an elegant old man walked out and said with a smile. Lu Ming and the other 2 didn't speak. They just looked at the old man, waiting for him to continue. How about this? Let's treat this battle as a friendly match. How about not killing each other? The elegant old man continued. This elegant old man was the old ancestor of the Intentionless Mansion. Obviously, he was quite wary of Lu Ming and the other 2. Sure. Lu Ming smiled. They had no enmity with the Intentionless Mansion, so there was no need to kill each other. That's great. Get into formation. After the elegant old man finished speaking, the 9 figures of the Intentionless Mansion flashed and formed a large formation. A terrifying aura burst out. 5 elites in the 4th level of the spiritual sea realm, and 1 at the peak of the 4th level. As soon as the aura of the 9 people of the Intentionless Mansion burst out, exclamations came from all around. The Intentionless Mansion was indeed powerful. They actually had 5 elites in the 4th level of the spiritual sea realm. Compared to them, the other forces were too far behind. The remaining 4 were all at the peak of the 3rd level of the spiritual sea realm. A battle formation set up by the few of them together was extremely terrifying. Who could break it? Interesting, let's team up. Lu Ming said. All right. Xian Yanqing nodded. Let's have a good battle. We haven't had a good battle today. Kong Jin laughed loudly and strode forward. Sky Demon Force Field. Chapter 776. Xian Yanqing was the first to strike. He used the Heavenly Demon Power Field to shroud his opponent. A terrifying destructive force suddenly erupted. Clang, clang. The people from Intentionless Mansion activated their battle matrix. Battle sabers condensed and counteracted the invisible destructive force. At that moment, Lu Ming and Kong Jin's figures flashed and entered the Heavenly Demon Power Field. Have a taste of my axe, Mad Demon Battle Axe. Kong Jin stepped onto the battle platform, and it rumbled. With each step, his body swelled a little. The battle axe in his hand was as big as a door. It twisted the air into a ball, and like a violent storm, it blasted towards Intentionless Mansion. The earth will and the shattering will merged into Kong Jin's blood meridian martial technique. The terrifying power that could destroy everything made the people from Intentionless Mansion pale. Boom! Lu Ming used the hell-suppressing heaven skill and slashed his palm towards Intentionless Mansion. In comparison, Lu Ming's palm was much more restrained. It looked very ordinary, as if it was just an ordinary palm. However, the people from Intentionless Mansion looked even worse. They could feel that the pressure from Lu Ming's palm was even stronger than Kong Jin's. Block it! The elegant elder shouted. The 9 of them activated their battle matrix. Their auras merged, combining the combat power of the 9 of them into one. They each struck out 2 rays of saber light, slashing towards Lu Ming and Kong Jin. Boom, boom. There were 2 loud bangs. Lu Ming and Kong Jin did not move at all. On the other hand, the 9 people from Intentionless Mansion staggered backward. Even their battle formation was almost destroyed. They were enveloped by Xian Yanqing's heavenly demon power field and were suppressed. It was difficult for them to use their full combat power. Again! Lu Ming and Kong Jin stepped forward and blasted out another move. The power of this move was stronger than the previous one. Heavenly Demon Hand. This time, Xian Yanqing also blasted out a move. A beautiful arm press towards the people from Intentionless Mansion. Boom, boom, boom. The entire battle platform was shaking. The 9 people from Intentionless Mansion were scattered by the violent power. They retreated one after another. The 4 warriors at the peak of the 3rd level of the spiritual sea realm turned pale and spat out a mouthful of blood. Ha, amazing. Really amazing. We admit defeat. The elegant elder took a deep breath and calmed his surging blood. He clasped his hands together, but his eyes were filled with shock. The 9 of them joined forces and set up an array, but they were still no match for the 3 of them. The combat power of these 3 youths was terrifying. Thank you. Lu Ming cupped his fists and smiled. The Sea Cloud sect wins this battle. The referee announced. Immediately, cheers rang out from the Sea Cloud sect. Many people's faces flushed with excitement. Pooh, pooh. At the scene, the people from the other forces all let out a sigh of relief, as if they were trying to calm their surging emotions. The Sea Cloud clan had actually defeated the Intentionless House. Before the competition, they would never have thought of this. In the beginning, when the people of Sea Cloud clan went on the stage, everyone saw that there were 3 youths at the 1st level of the spiritual sea realm. No one was optimistic about Sea Cloud clan, thinking that they were just going through the motions. Even if a few people thought that Sea Cloud clan might have invited a prodigy, they would never have thought that Sea Cloud clan could defeat Intentionless Mansion. After all, ordinary prodigies couldn't defeat an expert at the 4th level of the spiritual sea realm at the 1st level of the spiritual sea realm. The gap was too big. But in the end, Sea Cloud clan became a dark horse and defeated Intentionless Mansion. There was no doubt that Sea Cloud clan was number 1 this time. According to the results, the top 6 of this competition are out. Sea Cloud clan, number 1, has 8 places. Announced the referee. Cheers came from Sea Cloud clan. Xiao Long was full of excitement. 4 of the 8 places were given to Lu Ming. There were still 4 places left. Before this, he would never have dared to think about it. The other forces cast envious glances at Sea Cloud clan, and Xiao Long's Sea Cloud clan was too lucky to get the help of such a prodigy. Why didn't they have such luck? Number 2, Intentionless Mansion, 6 places. The referee announced the top 6 one after another. Number 6, Crimson Moon Clan, number 6, has 3 places in 100 Venerables Mountain. Alright, this competition is over. In the next 2 days, list out the places to enter 100 Venerables Mountain. After 2 days, someone will go to Sea Cloud clan to get them. After the referee announced, he looked at Lu Ming, Kong Jin, and Xian Yanqing and then stepped away. With the departure of the referee, this competition also came to an end. Sea Cloud clan became the biggest winner. The 36 forces dispersed. Lu Ming and the others also returned to Sea Cloud clan. In the blink of an eye, 2 days had passed. The top 6 forces of the competition sent people to Sea Cloud clan to wait for the arrival of the messenger. On this day, a young man in a starry robe arrived at Sea Cloud clan. Xiao Long and the people of the other 6 forces came out to welcome him. Have you prepared the list of the people who will enter 100 Venerables Mountain? Give it to me. The young man had his hands behind his back, looking high and mighty. Xiao Long and the others did not dare to delay and quickly handed over their names. They could tell from the young man's clothes that he was a disciple of the Shangguan clan. The Shangguan clan was one of the strongest clans on this dragon vein other than the Wang clan. It was also one of the strongest forces in 9 Dragon City other than the 6 ancient clans. Compared to small forces like them, it was many times stronger. The young man took the name list and glanced at it. He nodded and waved his hand. 8 tokens flew to Qiao Long and said, "These are the 8 tokens to enter 100 Venerables Mountain. Keep them." Qiao Long happily kept them. Then, the young man handed the corresponding tokens to Intentionless Mansion and the other forces. As long as you are under 30 years old, you can enter 100 Venerables Mountain at any time with the tokens. After saying that, the young man stepped into the air and left. After the young man left, Qiao Long went to Lu Ming and the others' residence and handed the 4 tokens to Lu Ming and the others. "Little brother Lu Ming, when do you plan to enter 100 Venerables Mountain? I'll let Xian Er and the others go with you?" Qiao Long asked. "Tomorrow," Lu Ming said. Qiao Long nodded and left. After the young man from the Shangguan clan gave out the tokens, he flew toward the dragon vein. "There's someone called Lu Ming in the name list this time. Interesting. Could it be the Lu Ming from the Heavenly King leaderboard?" The young man muttered. "I heard from Uncle Wuchen that cousin Xingchen has an enemy in Tianxian domain. He's also called Lu Ming. I wonder if it's the same person. Should I tell Uncle Wuchen about this? It's better to tell him. If it's the same person, I don't want to be blamed for not telling him about it." With that thought, the young man flew toward the Shangguan clan. The Wang clan occupied the core position of the dragon vein. However, the Shangguan clan occupied a superior territory. It was one of the best treasured lands. Many majestic mountains rose from the ground. They were lush and green. The spiritual qi was so dense that it was like a mist drifting in the sky. It was like a fairyland. Many palaces were located on the mountain peaks. 2 figures sat in the courtyard of one of the palaces. Chapter 777. They were Xingchen's uncle and mother. At this moment, the 2 were drinking tea in the courtyard. "Second brother, how's the investigation on that little bastard Lu Ming going? Is he still in Tianxian domain?" Shangguan Wuling asked. Shangguan Wuchen shook his head and said, "I've investigated it. That Lu Ming left the Tianxian domain a long time ago and I don't know where he went. However, I'm certain that his relationship with Yan Kuangtu isn't that deep. Back then, Yan Kuangtu stayed in the Tianxian domain for 2 days before leaving alone. That little bastard Lu Ming. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been humiliated in public by Yan Kuangtu." Shangguan Wuling's face was twisted. "Little sister, let's forget about Yan Kuangtu. He's one of the highest commanders of the Imperial Sky Guard. Even our old ancestor wouldn't dare to offend him." Shangguan Wuchen's face changed slightly. "Second brother, I know that, but we can't let Lu Ming go," Shangguan Wuling said coldly. "You don't have to worry about this. That lad Lu Ming is quite talented. He definitely won't miss the Battle of Providence. By then, he might come to Nine Dragon City. As long as he comes to Nine Dragon City, won't he be at our mercy?" Shangguan Wuchen took a sip of tea, a cold smile on his face. As they were talking, a young man walked in. He was the one who went to the Sea Cloud sect to give out the 100 Supremes Mountain entrance token. His name was Shangguan Jinhui. "Jinhui, why are you here? Aren't you working in the Imperial Sky Guard?" Shangguan Wuchen stood up and smiled when he saw the young man. "Uncle Wuchen and Aunt Wuling are also here. It just so happens that I have something to discuss with the 2 of you, so I came back on the way," Shangguan Jinhui said. "What is it?" Shangguan Wuchen was curious. "I heard that cousin Xingchen has an enemy in Tianxian domain called Lu Ming, right?" Shangguan Jinhui said. "Jinhui, do you have news about Lu Ming?" Shangguan Wuling's eyes lit up. Shangguan Jinhui nodded and said, "This time, I went to the periphery of the Dragon Vein to issue a few small forces a token to enter the 100 Supremes Mountain. Lu Ming's name was in the nomination of one of the forces. Therefore, I wanted to tell you about it. Could it be someone with the same name?" Shangguan Wuchen asked. "I don't know about that." Shangguan Jinhui shook his head. He was only responsible for issuing the tokens and didn't know anything else. As for the situation of the competition, he naturally didn't know anything about it. "Second brother, I plan to go and take a look. What if it's that little bastard? Humph, you want to enter the 100 Supremes Mountain? Dream on." Shangguan Wuling's face twisted. I have delivered your message. Farewell. Shangguan Jinhui cupped his fists and turned to leave. Alright, then let's go take a look. If it's that little bastard, I'll just cripple him. Shangguan Wuchen said coldly. Early in the morning on the next day, Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Kong Jin, Ruan Tingting, the 4 young men from the Ocean Cloud sect, and Qiao Xian were surprisingly amongst them. The group of 8 flew towards the Dragon Vein. The entrance to the 100 Supremes Mountain was above the Dragon Vein. The Supremes on the 100 Supremes Mountain referred to Domain Enlightened Spirit God Realm experts, and Domain Enlightened Spirit God Realm experts were also called exalts. Supposedly, not only was the spirit energy of the heavens and the earth extremely dense within the 100 Supremes Mountain, over 100 Domain Enlightened Spirit God Realm experts had left behind their cultivation imprints within the 100 Supremes Mountain. It was even to the extent that some Domain Enlightened Spirit God Realm experts had left behind their inheritances within the 100 Supremes Mountain. In history, some peerless experts were unable to find a suitable successor while they were still alive, so they would leave behind their inheritances through some sort of special method in hopes that a suitable successor would be able to inherit their mantle. So, not only could one utilize the imprints left behind by Domain Enlightened Spirit God Realm experts to comprehend the concepts of the heavens and the earth, it was even to the extent that it was very likely for one to obtain the inheritance of a Domain Enlightened Spirit God Realm expert. Some formidable Domain Enlightened Spirit God Realm experts even possessed divine-grade cultivation techniques and martial skills, and it was unavoidable that others were tempted. Lu Ming's group of 8 flew forward at an extremely swift speed. They were able to see an extremely grand and majestic mountain range lying on the ground from afar. This mountain range was the Dragon Vein, and it stretched as far as the eye could see. It was too large and majestic. What dense spirit energy of the heavens and the earth! Lu Ming sighed with admiration. The spirit energy of the heavens and the earth above the Dragon Vein was even denser, and it was a few times denser than the luxury gathering city. Moreover, one could comprehend the concepts of the heavens and the earth even more clearly. The environment was too good, and it was impossible for one's cultivation not to improve while cultivating in such an environment. They flew into the Dragon Vein and flew towards the entrance of the 100 Supremes Mountain. It wasn't long before they arrived at an enormous platform. There was an enormous door of light before the platform, and that was the entrance to the 100 Supremes Mountain. There were experts standing guard before the door of light. Little bastard, is it really you? Right when Lu Ming's group descended onto the platform, a sharp cry resounded. Lu Ming looked towards the source of the voice, and he was stunned. He saw Shangguan Wuchen and Shangguan Wuling. At this moment, Shangguan Wuling was glaring at him with a ferocious expression. Lu Ming frowned. He didn't expect to bump into the Shangguan clan here. Little bastard, you're really something. You actually managed to get a spot to enter the 100 Supremes Mountain after coming to the 9 Dragons City. Shangguan Wuling strode over. At the same time, Shangguan Wuchen also strode over, and there was a tall young man beside them. They stood in front of Lu Ming's group, blocking Lu Ming's path. Get out of the way, you're blocking the way. Lu Ming frowned. Get out of the way? Little bastard, do you know what's in front of you? That's the 100 Supremes Mountain, the sacred cultivation ground of the 9 Dragon City. What about you? Who do you think you are? You're just a kid from a barren mountain in the Tianxian region. What qualifications do you have to enter the 100 Supremes Mountain? Now, hand over your entry token and get lost. Shangguan Wuling said coldly. Back then, Lu Ming had injured Xing Xing in front of everyone, causing Yan Kuangtu to slap her in front of everyone. This was a great humiliation to her. Even after such a long time, she still hated Lu Ming to the core. In addition, she didn't dare to offend Yan Kuangtu, so she could only blame everything on Lu Ming. Lu Ming, who is this crazy woman? She must be sick in the head. Kong Jin said unhappily. Just a crazy dog. Let's go. Lu Ming shook his head and walked to the side, trying to bypass Shangguan Wuling and the others. Little bastard, what did you say? How dare you scold me? You're courting death. Shangguan Wuling screamed. Boom. Shangguan Wuchen took a step forward and stood in front of Lu Ming's group. A powerful aura burst out. Second level of the spiritual sea realm. Now, Lu Ming could clearly sense Shangguan Wuchen's cultivation. The corner of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. Second level spiritual sea realm. He could suppress him with a flip of his hand. I advise you to get out of the way. Lu Ming looked at Shangguan Wuchen indifferently. Little bastard, how dare you insult me? Today, none of you can leave. Chapter 778. As soon as Shangguan Wuling finished her words, Lu Ming suddenly took a step forward and slapped her. Pa! A loud slap was heard. Shangguan Wuling screamed as her body flew out and landed dozens of meters away. Her hair was disheveled, and one side of her face was swollen. She looked at Lu Ming in shock, completely stunned. Lu Ming dared to slap her? How dare he slap her? She would never have dreamed of that. You're just a mad dog. I gave you face, but you didn't take it. Lu Ming said coldly. Ah. At this moment, Shangguan Wuling finally came to her senses. She screamed hysterically, her eyes full of viciousness. She glared at Lu Ming and shouted, "Little bastard, how dare you hit me? I want you dead. I want to skin you alive and pull your tendons." Pa! Lu Ming waved his hand again, and another slap landed on the other side of Shangguan Wuling's face. Immediately, her body flew out again and landed on the ground, puking out blood. She was completely stunned. How dare you? You are looking for death. Shangguan Wuchen roared furiously. He moved his body and slapped Lu Ming with his palm. Lu Ming took a step forward, and all of Shangguan Wuchen's attacks vanished into thin air. In the next second, he felt his throat tighten. His throat had been gripped by Lu Ming's steel-like claws. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Lu Ming had broken through all of his attacks and defenses with only one attack, and gripped his throat. Do you still think that I am the old me? Lu Ming gripped Shangguan Wuchen's neck and lifted him up high. Shangguan Wuchen's face was red. He could not use the Zhenyuan in his body at all, as it had been sealed by Lu Ming. His heart was in a state of turmoil. How long had it been? It had not even been a year. Back in Tianxin region, he was a Sea of Souls realm warrior, looking down on Lu Ming. In his eyes, Lu Ming was like an ant that he could kill easily. But now, he was actually so weak in Lu Ming's hands, unable to resist at all. It was a complete reversal from before. Kid, let go of your hand. Lord Wu Chen is a direct descendant of the Shangguan clan. If anything happens to him, you're dead. A young man who had been following behind Lu Ming released a powerful aura that enveloped Lu Ming. Peak of the third layer of the spiritual sea realm. This youth had the cultivation of the peak of the third layer of the spiritual ocean realm. Really? Lu Ming's eyes flashed with killing intent. The young man was shocked and shouted, "You're bullying the weak because you're strong. What kind of ability is that? If you have the ability, fight me." All right, you are not allowed to kill or fight at the entrance of the 100 Supremes Mountain. If you have any grudges, leave this place or enter the 100 Supremes Mountain to settle them. Right at that moment, an aged voice sounded from the entrance of the 100 Supremes Mountain. The complexion of the Shangguan clan's young man changed when he heard this voice. Then he restrained his aura. Bang! Lu Ming flung Shangguan Wuchen away. Get out of the way. If you want to find me, I'll be waiting for you at the 100 Supremes Mountain. Lu Ming looked at the young man. Although this young man had the cultivation of the peak of the third layer of the spiritual ocean realm, he didn't give Lu Ming any pressure. Obviously, he wasn't a prodigy. In a superior environment like the Nine Dragon City, some big families like the Shangguan clan, especially the 6 ancient families, definitely had many young men under the age of 30 who had entered the spiritual ocean realm. However, these people weren't prodigies. Their battle power wasn't strong, and their potential was limited. If they really wanted to fight, Lu Ming could suppress them with a flip of his hand. The young man snorted and rushed towards Shangguan Wuchen and the others to check on their injuries. You're so weak and you want to find trouble? How boring. Kong Jin pursed his lips. They walked towards the entrance. Lu Ming, there are still a few prodigies in the Shangguan clan. You still have to be careful. Qiao Xian reminded him softly. No worries. Lu Ming smiled. He was never afraid of challenges. Only challenges could make him improve faster. The 8 of them showed their tokens and entered the 100 Supremes Mountain without any obstruction. Little bastard, I want him dead. On the platform, Shangguan Wuling screamed. Her face was ferocious like a ghost. Lu Ming dared to slap her. How dare he? Yan Kuangtu dared to slap her, and Lu Ming dared to do the same? Although Shangguan Wuling's cultivation was low, her status wasn't low. She was the daughter of a powerful elder in the Shangguan clan. Who dared to slap her? How about this? Let's go back first. I'll call a few more experts to enter the 100 Supremes Mountain and kill that Lu Ming. The young man said. Okay, let's go back first. Shangguan Wuchen nodded, and the 3 of them flew back to the Shangguan clan. When they arrived at the Shangguan clan, they bumped into a few people. Mother, uncle, what happened to you? Who did this? You're courting death. One of the young men was Xing Xingchen. He saw Shangguan Wuchen and Shangguan Wuling's injuries at a glance. Shangguan Wuling's face was swollen, and it hadn't gone down yet. Xing Xingchen was filled with killing intent. Xingchen, you're out? It's Lu Ming. It's that little bastard, Lu Ming. He dared to slap me. Shangguan Wuling shouted. Lu Ming? It's him. Xing Xingchen's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. What's going on? A majestic voice sounded. The one who spoke was a tall and mighty old man. His eyes were sharp and he looked majestic. This old man was Shangguan Wuchen and Shangguan Wuling's father. He was a powerful elder in the Shangguan clan. Father, it's like this. Shangguan Wuchen explained the matter briefly. Lu Ming is courting death. I'll go to the 100 Supremes Mountain and kill him now. Xing Xingchen's killing intent exploded, and a terrifying aura spread out from his body. Xing Xingchen's cultivation had also broken through to the spiritual sea realm. He wasn't in the first level of the spiritual sea realm, but the second level. Xingchen, you shouldn't fight now. Your bloodline is extraordinary. It's the 7 stars scroll. If you can awaken the true 7 stars of the Heavenly Dipper realm, it'll definitely be a God-grade bloodline. The most important thing for you now is to go into seclusion and awaken the 3rd bloodline. If you can awaken the God-grade bloodline, you'll be able to enter the ranks of the God-grade supreme talents. Xing Xingchen said in a deep voice. Grandfather, are you going to let Lu Ming go? I can't accept it. Xing Xingchen said. It's nothing compared to awakening the God-grade bloodline. How about this, Jianghu, bring a few people and bring Lu Ming's head to me. Xing Xingchen turned around and said to another young man. Elder, don't worry. Lu Ming will die. The young man smiled. Shangguan Wuchen and the others were also delighted. Shangguan Jinjue was a peerless genius of the Shangguan clan. He was ranked 465 on the list of top 1,000 talents. With his help, Lu Ming was doomed. Shangguan Jinjue turned around and left. After Lu Ming and the others stepped through the door, they appeared on another platform. Chapter 779. It was said that the 100 Supremes Mountain was not a plain. It was actually located above the Dragon Vein. However, it was surrounded by a supreme array and was completely isolated. There was only one entrance. Although the 100 Supremes Mountain is called the 100 Supremes Mountain, there are more than 100 Supremes who have left their imprints and inheritances. There are probably a few hundred of them scattered in every corner. Qiao Xian explained. Lu Ming, it seems like we have to cultivate separately. Let's see who improves faster after some time. Kong Jin laughed. Each of them specialized in different areas and comprehended different intents. Of course, they could not cultivate together. In the 100 Supremes Mountain, they had to find the one that was most suitable for them in order to improve their comprehension. Similarly, they had to rely on luck. All right, let's meet here after some time. Lu Ming nodded. Then, the 8 of them split up and each chose a direction and flew forward. The 100 Supremes Mountain was huge. It was more than 100,000 miles wide and there were countless peaks. No one knew which peak or corner would have the imprints left behind by the Supremes. Moreover, The spiritual qi in the 100 Supremes Mountain was unimaginably dense. It was several times denser than the dragon vein outside. Lu Ming felt that the spiritual qi here was almost as dense as a lower spiritual crystal. What did that mean? It was as if the spiritual qi in the heavens and earth were all lower spiritual crystals. In a breath, the spiritual qi in a few lower spiritual crystals would be absorbed. If I cultivate here, I don't even need spiritual crystals. Lu Ming sighed. He was really envious of those people from the big families. However, now was not the time to cultivate. He had to find a suitable imprint and comprehend the intents. That was the key. Lu Ming flew all the way. Soon, he found more than 10 people sitting on the shore of a small lake. Lu Ming landed and discovered that there was a powerful aura emanating from the lake. He sensed it carefully and suddenly felt that there was a giant dragon in the lake that was pouncing towards him. The dragon contained a powerful water intent. Lu Ming stood still and allowed the dragon to charge past him. What a miraculous water concept! It contains the comprehension of a domain enlightened spirit god towards water concept, and it can be fused with one's own body to draw a reference from and comprehend. Unfortunately, I don't cultivate water concept, so I should look elsewhere. Lu Ming did not stop. He soared into the sky and flew towards the distance. Subsequently, he found a few imprints left behind by a spirit god, but they were not suitable for him. Suddenly, Lu Ming noticed a cliff in front of him. There was a cliff. There was a deep mark that seemed to have been left behind by a sword. This cliff was thousands of meters high. In front of the cliff, there were a dozen or so stone pillars that stood on the ground, level with the cliff. There were numerous figures sitting on the stone supremes. Was that one that was the one that was supremes that was that one that was closest to the cliff? Lu Ming flew up and landed on the stone pillar. Concept of wind. As soon as Lu Ming sensed it, he discovered that the carvings on the cliff contained the mysterious concept of wind, and the concept of wind was precisely what Lu Ming needed. When Lu Ming landed, the people on the other pillars opened their eyes. When they saw Lu Ming, their expressions changed slightly. "Brother, I advise you to leave that stone pillar." A young woman said to Lu Ming. "Why?" Lu Ming frowned slightly. "That's because that stone pillar has already been reserved by someone. That person has declared that no one else is allowed to set foot on that stone pillar." The woman explained. "Oh, where is that person?" Lu Ming asked. "That person isn't in the 100 Supremes Mountain right now. Maybe he's cultivating somewhere else." Lu Ming shook his head and smiled. "Since it's not here, why can't I use it? Moreover, the 100 Supremes Mountain is public land. I've never heard that it belongs to anyone. If he's not here, I can use it." Having said that, Lu Ming sat down cross-legged. "Hee, lad, I don't mind telling you that that person's name is Miao Yi. He's the youngest son of the Miao family." A cold laugh could be heard from the other stone pillar. "Miao Yi? Miao Yi, number 501 on the list of top 1,000 talents?" Lu Ming's expression changed. "That's right. Hee, that's why I advise you to leave. When he comes and sees you up there, you won't have a good ending." The young man sneered. "Then let's wait for him to come." Lu Ming said indifferently. He had no intention of leaving. You're overestimating yourself. When Miao Yi comes, you'll be crying." The young man snorted. Lu Ming paid no further attention to the matters in the surroundings, and his gaze was focused on the mark on the cliff. Slowly, the mark changed in Lu Ming's eyes, and it transformed into a sword. After that, it transformed into a figure that danced about in midair, and every single strike of the sword contained profound wind concept. Even if it was the same type of concept, different people's comprehension of it would be different. How deep was the comprehension of concepts of a domain enlightened spirit god? Lu Ming used it as a reference to verify his own concepts and seek inspiration to swiftly improve his comprehension of concepts. Once a concept attained the second level, it wasn't something that could be ceaselessly broken through by relying solely on profundity crystals. If one merely relied on profundity crystals, then it was extremely easy to encounter a bottleneck, and one had to comprehend it. So long as one combined profundity crystals with one's own comprehension, then it would be the best path. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed, and Lu Ming obtained a great deal of new comprehensions towards wind concept. He continued cultivating. Day after day passed, and another 4 days passed. Lu Ming had already been here for 7 days. On this day, while Lu Ming was comprehending, he suddenly felt a strand of fierce killing intent envelop him. His gaze flashed as he looked towards the side. A young man in green robes was walking step by step through the air over there. It's Miao Yi has come. That kid is in trouble. The people in the surroundings exclaimed in low voices when they saw this person. Especially that young man that said Lu Ming overestimated his ability earlier. He was even slightly taking pleasure in Lu Ming's misfortune. Now you'll be crying. The young man sneered. Miao Yi wore a green robe, had his hands behind his back, and had a cold gaze as he walked through the air and appeared not too far away from the stone pillar. Kid, who allowed you to sit on that stone pillar? Didn't anyone tell you that I ordered that stone pillar? Miao Yi looked down at Lu Ming from above, and his voice was icy cold and gloomy. It was like a venomous bug that was staring at its enemy, and it caused one's heart to go cold. I've heard of it. Someone told me that when I just arrived. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Since someone told you, you still dared to sit on it. Are you not putting me in your eyes? Now, roll down from there and slap yourself 100 times, then scram as far as you can. I won't hold this matter against you. Miao Yi ordered as if he was ordering a servant. Lu Ming shook his head and smiled. This Miao Yi was really overbearing. However, when had he, Lu Ming, ever been afraid of others being overbearing? Let me ask you, does this 100 Supremes mountain belong to your Miao family? Lu Ming asked. Of course not. Miao Yi said. Since it's not, why are you cultivating here? Don't you know that it's first come, first served? If you want it, wait at the side. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Immortal Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.